Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Hello, sir.
There you go. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 5 and episode number 640 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Monday, May 5th, 2025. Happy birthday to Milos, part of our family. Yeah. I hope it's going to be a good one. We'll see each other soon. And, well, it's a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. A little gray, but, weather's nice. And we had a bit of sunshine over the course of the weekend. A little rain, too. So, yeah, things are kind of good. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. We have a pretty big show for you today because there's been a lot of news over the weekend. But before we do anything else, the most important thing we do, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
Well, sir, I'd have to say it's markedly improved over the last few days. I got 8+ hours sleep Saturday evening. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night because I stayed up to watch the Jets game, and that was one hell of a game.
Yes.
I was watching it going like, oh man, this is disappointing. They're not going to advance. They had such a great. They scored with 1.6 seconds left to tie the game and force overtime. I was like,
was the first one?
Yeah, the first one, and then
they had to pull the goalie like for a while, and they're swarming, and they scored the first one. There's like a minute 50 something left, and you think like, maybe,
well, there's time.
Maybe.
Well, exactly. I was like, minute 50, there's time. They can do that. They could pull this off. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's the end. Holy shit, they scored. I was like, oh, I'm just crestfallen for the Winnipeg fans, for the city, for Canada. We wanted to, another Canadian team to advance. They scored with 1.6 seconds left on the clock. I mean, can you get any closer than that? There have been closer. I've seen goals go in with 0.8 seconds left, but still, that was taking it right down to the wire and then winning in second overtime.
And then, yes, right? Not only do we get that, but we get double overtime. Can it get better?
That's pretty difficult. So let's just say I went to bed on an emotional high from that. I was like, yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Way to go, Peg. Love you.
My God. So, kids and cubs, as a result of that, Mr. Grizzly might have a tougher time today because since we are confessing, your Eager Beaver was not very diligent with the show outline because he was not able to take his eyes off the screen watching the Jets.
It was a hell of a game. So yeah,
Please forgive me. I'm not much of a Catholic, but
Well, I don't know if you saw the rantings and ravings of the orange shit stain south of us, but this weekend he just went crazy. Once again, he wants to reopen Alcatraz as an actual functioning prison. Because yes, that's big enough to house all the inmates that he wants to put in there.
right.
And now the other one that I'm looking at this right now, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. He's putting he says, I'm authorized the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again.
Again? When were they? Isn't like movie making like the American art form?
It's still the vast majority of Hollywood films are produced in Hollywood.
Like that, country, jazz, and rap, right? Like those are the four American.
So everything that's produced here in Canada, and a lot of them are produced here in Canada, he's now putting 100% tariff on. He's trying to torpedo the film industry, and every theater owner in the United States of America is now going like, so all he's going to show is Marvel movies.
Well, yeah, fuck.
Right? Like, it's just, I can't make this stuff up. It's so bloody absurd.
What's he distracting from today?
Well, that's a very good question, and I don't know.
Because that's just dumb. Oh my god! All right, always look behind the curtain, kits and cubs. Always look behind the curtain. See. All right. Yes. So yeah, go Jets, go! I think that's all the series there are completed in the first round now, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. And that was game 7. By the
Yes.
way, interesting stat. I think that was the 200th game 7 in Stanley Cup history. And I think it was the 50th game 7 that had gone into overtime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just random facts. A lot of people listen to the play-by-play. I tend to listen to the color commentators. I can see what's going on the ice. So yeah, I believe that is the end of all the first
Yes, it
round
is. Yeah.
series.
There were the last two were Dallas and was it Colorado? No, Dallas and anyway, Dallas advanced.
Yeah.
And Winnipeg advanced. Those were the last two of the first round. So round 2 starts tonight, and I believe it's Toronto
Tonight,
and Florida.
yeah, they just jumped right.
Tonight. Yeah,
Absolutely
Toronto and
correct.
Florida
Yeah,
tonight.
7 p.m. I believe is the start. No, 8 p.m. is the start time, Eastern. There you
That's
go.
a late start time for Toronto, Florida for Eastern time zone. Why are they starting at 8? There must be something else going on that I'm not aware of.
My guess would be prime time ratings.
Probably.
That case.
Yeah.
Just in this instance, that would be my guess, because 8 to 11 is a prime advertising dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is kind of the big thing going on, especially if it's Toronto. Canadian market.
It's the largest hockey market in the country. I don't know what I was just about to say there. Jumping up.
Hocket marky?
Yeah. Well, that's not those, Paul. Those aren't words. They're not words. See, I'm so dyslexic. I even screw up the words that I'm saying in my head. And Hocket marky? What?
Pocket marky. Okay, now you're getting a little close. Again, it's a family show. Ah, man. Okay. I have a terribly dirty mind. Okay.
No, that's cool. So just before we dive in here, I wanted to briefly touch on. I put a short out on, I think it was Friday. No, was it Friday? I don't know when I put it out. It was about Wexit, right? The West wants to exit. And it was a clip that from an episode where, it must have been the Thursday episode, where we talked about how they can't leave because of treaties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people in Alberta are going, "Oh, there's not nearly enough Indigenous people to vote against." It's like you miss the point. You're missing the point. These are federal treaties with the Crown that were agreed upon before Alberta existed. You have no say.
Right.
And I'm reading from somebody I follow on the Twitter, Kristen Raworth. So many people seem confused about the treaties in First Nations lands. So let's make this very clear. First Nation land is under federal jurisdiction and governed by a relationship with the Crown. Alberta doesn't get to just separate and take an Indigenous land with them. And a fun side note, a good chunk of Indigenous land is in the north, is the oil fields. So have fun with independence without that.
Right. They're like, I know that there's a lot of this stuff that comes from accounts that are, I call them trash accounts, right? The ones that are created,
For that purpose,
to get you into the loop and just like put out constant like dumb stuff out there. But there's a lot of people that genuinely do not understand this. And I mean, I
Yes.
guess why would they, right? Because one, they've never been exposed to it and nobody told them that it was important enough for them to care.
Mhm.
So, but these are some fundamental truths about our
Yes.
nation, right? And uh, I keep on seeing these conversations and even gotten one, a very short exchange with someone that I'm going to read parts of it because
Please do.
this is the thing that happens here. So a guy named Thomas Watson, good account, really recommend it. Thomas Watson CD says, "I'm impressed at the number of people who are now experts on treaties 6 and 7 this week after having no idea what they were last week." Which brought me to thinking, back to the convoy days and the pandemic days, right? So I'm going like, first they were epidemiologists, then they were public health experts, then they were vaccinologists, then they were constitutional legal scholars, then they were gender biology and climate experts. Now they know more about Indigenous treaty than Indigenous nations.
Yes.
And then the Sky Cups, clearly no one cares about the treaties, right? Except the Indigenous, which is a big fucking deal.
Oh, and the Crown.
Yes. Then comes back. Not really. That's the point. Okay. So you're one of these people. Yes, really. Wishes are not facts. Yeah. Everyone hates on Alberta. Break out the violins. So Alberta says, okay, we can leave. And now everyone's like, no, you can never leave because of the Indians that we literally never care about. Right? Right. Because the Constitution doesn't care about whether we care about Indigenous people. It only cares that we do right by them, whether we care about them or not. Or, in other words, that we respect the terms of the contract. The above is true regardless of everyone hates on Alberta. And then you get the thing, regardless of that, no, there is no regardless of that.
No.
That's where it ends. That's all there is.
That's it.
That's it.
Regardless, it goes no further.
Right. Regardless of that, Alberta will find a way. This will be a long, drawn-out, expensive situation, but to sit here and think any of that is going to matter is laughable.
You can have your referendum, but you can't go anywhere.
No, Alberta won't. Not wanting to admit the Indigenous reality is the reason Harper Conservatives couldn't get an inch of pipeline to Tidewater built. Correct. It will matter way more on this because it's the only thing that matters ultimately. Wishes are not facts, but hey, believe in your dreams.
You need to pull your mic a little closer, sir. It's only because you're. Oh no, it's just because the logo's on your forehead.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm reading the conversation, so I'm not seeing what's on screen. Okay, I'm just going to move a little bit. Just going to shuffle about this way and bring the mic over this way. Come here.
There you go. That's
there
better.
You go. So yeah, and that's when I turned around and said, okay, thank you. This is my stop. Ding. because a conversation with the person that is going to refuse to acknowledge that there's a thing called reality, while potentially amusing, serves no useful purpose. So
None.
thank you.
Zero.
But it's like when you get to the points that like, no, it's the Constitution. Regardless of that, we'll find a way. Okay. Sorry. We're done
You don't
here.
get to use the Constitution for your benefit and throw it out when you don't like it. It doesn't work that way.
And there is no regardless after the Constitution says.
Yeah.
There is
No.
Live
your fantasy. Live your fantasy that we're going to.
Absolutely.
I'm like, it's not going to happen. I keep telling people this, and they get mad at me. You're telling them they don't have the right to vote on this? No, they can vote on it all they want, but it's not going anywhere. It's not their land, period.
Again, the thing that we keep on coming back to when we talk about the 14 characteristics of fascism, action for action's sake, the cult of action for action's sake. Donate, give me money. I'm going to get you an elected Senate.
No,
did that happen? No. Donate, get me money. I'm going to build you a pipeline to Tidewater. Did we get it? No. Why? 2 times. The Constitution, the Senate. 1. A parliament cannot unilaterally alter the Senate in that way without the actual approval of the senators who get to vote on it. And I doubt very much that senators are going to vote to eliminate themselves. So it was dumb. And then you also need the agreement of the provinces. And given that we have Quebec in the Federation and that the Senate is the manner in which, to a certain extent, that the French fact becomes recognized and remains recognized over time, even though the French population is declining, is in the equal proportion in the Senate. Quebec will never let that go. So it is not going to happen. Stop trying to fleece grandma and grandpa out of their fortunes that they've worked their whole lives for by trying to pretend that you can do it. It is wrong. It is deceitful. It is unethical. It is cruel. It is pretty much downright evil. Just stop doing it. Do not lie to the people about what the Constitution allows or does not.
Well, and the thing that is absolutely mind-blowing to me is that I keep telling people it won't happen, and here's why. Well, you don't get that. You don't have the right to tell them what to do. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm telling you what the facts are. The facts don't care about your feelings. That's what I hear from people all the time. But when I tell them facts that run counter to their feelings, wow, do they lose their shit.
It's all about their feelings then.
Yes.
Because remember,
you're not being fair. What are you talking about? I'm citing laws, facts, the Constitution, what needs to take place. If separation were to happen, every province has to agree to it.
Yeah.
They need a strong majority voting to separate, and then they have to come to Ottawa to negotiate terms.
The vote is just the beginning of a very long process.
Correct. And again, you need every treaty to be signed off on to say, yeah, you can go. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
As citizens, you can leave Canada because the Constitution grants you mobility rights, which includes the right to emigrate. But you can't take anything other than what's yours with you.
Correct. I don't know how many times I have to tell people this until they understand it. You know what it is? It's the same people who think that autism is caused by vaccines. They believe it.
Yes, but
they believe it in their soul, but they don't care what the facts are. And you can show them every single fact, every single legal precedent, and they don't care because they want to believe what they want to believe.
But in this specific case, right, beyond vaccines cause autism and all that kind of stuff in science law. In this specific case, there's also all these generations of all this negative stereotyping of Indigenous people.
Yes.
And that there are people that we don't have to care about. Oh, they got rights. That's fine. Fuck it.
Yeah.
We'll just trample over it. What are they going to do? Right?
Well, so fight you in court and win.
Yeah, I know, but that has been the attitude for so long. It's like, and it only after repeatedly losing in court are some people now started to talk about, reconciliation, including people in from the beginning and maybe some profit sharing and that type of stuff. But that was after spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on lawyers and losing.
Mm.
Time after time after time again, because it is a fundamental, foundational truth of this nation. You're not going to make it disappear. It's what we are built on.
Just
It's like living in a 3-story house and pretending you live in a bungalow.
yeah,
You don't.
you don't. I'm literally at my wit's end with some of these folks. It's like facts don't matter to you apparently. The facts don't care about your feelings. Folks really get upset when their feelings get hurt by the facts that disagree with their alternative
But you have to remember, Paul.
choices.
You have to remember, Mr. Grizzly. It's fuck your feelings.
Oh, right. You are correct, sir. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
My feelings.
My feelings are important.
You got to
But
spend
yours.
all of your time managing.
Yes.
But fuck yours.
Want to have it both ways. I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. No. Yeah. You're correct.
Only the feelings of the real Canadians matter.
Yes.
Because the Indigenous are not the real Canadians.
So,
oh my God. I mean, I don't want to say that Indigenous are Canadians. They don't see themselves that way. But you know where I'm going.
Oh yeah, no. I understand the Toronto Marathon was this weekend. Yeah, apparently the marathon was this weekend, and this was spotted at the marathon. Yeah, this one here.
Yes.
If you lose today's race, just run again in Alberta.
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
Be happy.
I'm like, oh, that's just a piece of
you
brilliance
can run
right
again,
there, my friends.
In Alberta. Don't worry, keep running. When you lose your vote in Carleton, don't worry, you can go back to Alberta. So don't worry. Boop, boop.
Apparently, it's AI.
Boop, boop.
That
Keep
sign.
running. Boop, boop, boop.
Apparently, it's AI, but either way, it's still funny.
I love it. It's perfect. That's fine.
Well, I mean,
this is proper use of AI to create funny art. We approve.
And I saw a thing on, was it the CBC? I think it was on the CBC where they were interviewing people. It was just a clip I saw online, interviewing people in that riding in Blackfoot. Is it Blackfoot Crow? Where Pierre wants
the name of that. Let me take
the
a look
by-election. Anyway, there was people who are saying, we don't want him here. We didn't vote for him. We don't want him here. We voted for the incumbent because he's a good MP. We like him. And people are genuinely pissed. They don't like Pierre Poilievre.
Well, they don't. The real grassroots are not all keen into parachuting people in.
No, they're not. And this is the thing. He might not win this by-election. It's entirely possible he could lose because people are angry about it.
Yes. I'm not sure if they're angry enough to, make him lose. I mean, after all, this is Alberta and 82%. But it does create an interesting situation. And straight from the Department of... you didn't think that through, did you? The guy who gave up, was coerced to, voluntold, induced, whatever word you want
6
to
months
use
from his pension.
there. 6 months from his pension. And right there, that says a lot about the Pierre, right? Because he's had his pension since he was 31. But hey, out of all the seats that there are in Alberta that I could run, is there a person that will, a seat that I can run that's pretty darn safe, that you could telegraph is safe, with some guy who maybe already has their pension? Maybe? But no, thank you. I need a few more years to keep on topping up mine. So even though you've won this seat 3 times now, and you've done all the work, and now, of course, the parentheses that, I mean, it's a shoe-in seat. You could probably put a flag on a blue rock and the win. But the guy there, Kirk, legit did the work.
He did.
To win the seat 3 times like this. And like you said, seemed to have been liked by his constituents, given he has been returned for the 3rd time. This guy comes in, and says, yeah, you know what? Thank you so much, and give up your pension for me too. Thank you. Because there isn't a whole seat in all of Alberta, which I own, in which I could also be safe and maybe not
Mhm.
affect somebody who has a pension. Because remember, it's not Canada first, right? It's me first.
Me
And
first.
it's
Yeah.
Pierre. And we're seeing it here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is,
Well,
I lost, but I feel entitled to be in the House again. I feel entitled to get a do-over. I want a participation trophy.
well, and folks were screaming, "Oh, Mark Carney's going to hold this up." He's like, he can run right away. I'll call the by-election in 30 days.
Yep.
He can't do anything for 30 days, right, after the election.
Yeah.
But he
Well,
can
he has to make sure that all the audited returns are done
correct, right.
in as well.
So he can call a by-election as soon as possible, and he said he would.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Now, I've heard people suggest Justin Trudeau should run as the Liberal candidate in that riding.
And Jagmeet Singh should run as the
NDP
NDP,
candidate.
and Jonathan Pedno as the Green. And hey, let's make it an all a
Maxim.
leaders affair with Maxime from the PPC. Maxime from the PPC is petty enough to do it.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, yeah.
I actually stirred the pot a little bit. I sent him a little tweet, said, "Hey, Maxime, you're the one that said that the Conservative Party was intellectually and morally bankrupt. Well, it doesn't get corrupt. It doesn't get more intellectually more corrupt than this guy. Are you
Mhm.
in?"
Yeah.
Hey,
Give it a go. Give it a
Maxime,
go, mate.
tu te lances, mon frère?
Tell you what, Maxim, you run in that riding, I'll support you. I'll promote you, man.
Damn. But yeah, I mean, he's parachuted in. Some people don't like it. But here's the thing. This Damien Kirk guy who was so generously gave of himself so that the leader could continue on and lead the fight. He won that riding with 81.8% of the vote. So even if Pierre wins it, but picks it up with, 70 something percent, or heaven
Mhm.
forbid in the 60s, and perhaps with much lower turnout. Wow. I'm not sure how the party's going to explain that one. You wanted to run and get in so badly, you didn't think about what would happen and what would your narrative have to be after you won.
Well, the I'm now seeing online where conservatives are
God.
losing their shit over the personal income tax cut being delivered by Mark Carney.
Yeah. Screw that.
I
Screw
just
that.
don't.
Just screw that. That is conservatives are at the throw everything and the kitchen sink.
Mhm.
Right. So the writing is Battle River Crowfoot there.
River Crowfoot. Yeah.
Battle River Crowfoot.
Battle River Crow. I thought it was
Yeah.
Blackfoot Crow.
And
Anyway.
again, I cannot stop thinking again of the delicious irony of the man who said that Indigenous people just needed to acquire better work ethic running in Battle River Crowfoot.
Yeah. Yeah. He might be in for a bit of a surprise.
Lord help me, Jesus. Just wow.
Yeah.
The sheer gall. The sheer gall. So, a couple of tidbits before we get into the meat of the stuff.
Mhm.
There's a couple of important events that happened last Tuesday. Not as important, but because I have a dance background, was International Dance Day. So if you missed it, like I did, have a little twirl whenever you have an opportunity sometime today.
I
Have
was
someone
not
dip
aware
you.
of that. I
Yeah.
was not aware of that.
Last Wednesday was the 50-year ending of the Vietnam War.
Mhm.
And over the course of the weekend, you probably heard there was a whole bunch of events in the Netherlands because today is Dutch Remembrance Day, but Friday was Liberation of the Netherlands Day.
Yes. And there were
S-
massive celebrations throughout the Netherlands and here in Ottawa as well. There
Yes.
were pipe and drummers marching up and down Elgin Street, and they were doing impromptu performances at different places. And bumped into my buddy Nico, who is one of the best pipers around. And he says he came in and he was in full regalia. I'm like, I go working. He goes, yeah, I'm here for a meeting. So he had his meeting, and then he left. He says, I gotta go. I got another gig to get to. I'm like, hey, go kick some butt,
Mhm.
So yeah, there was a lot happening yesterday for Netherlands Liberation Day, which is cool. It's
Yeah.
cool. 80 years, man. That's
Well, that's the thing.
today is Red
And
Dress Day.
May 5th, yeah, is Red Dress Day
Okay.
as well. So, and we'll get to that. But the Dutch liberation thing is every 5 years
Mhm.
there are big events in the Netherlands, like, and then a lot of Canadians go and like this. So this is the year. So we had like 29 veterans that are still alive from World War II that went down and made the trip and were there. I think the oldest, I think, was like 106 or something. But and people line the streets, and I was hearing
Oh
some
yes.
comments of the Dutch, and they're saying like, well, I mean, that we're all here 80 years later. I mean, like clearly, there's a very, very, very special relationship between Canada and the Netherlands. For those of you who are listening who may not be as familiar with Canadian history or newer to Canada and don't know this part, there's a very, very deep friendship
Mhm.
between our two countries because we did do a lot to liberate the Netherlands, and you know, after war and whatnot. But there was also like situations like we brought in food and a whole bunch of other stuff because you know people were very,
Starving.
very hungry.
Well, I mean, hell, Leo Major liberated a single town by himself.
Right,
One man. He scared the
right,
entire German regiment so badly they fled. It's a fact. You can look it up.
right.
Leo Major
Uh,
Québécois.
yeah,
Uh, Serious dude.
and then also there's the fact that the Dutch royal family, including Princess Juliana, fled to Canada during
Mhm.
World War II and were granted asylum. So Ottawa became their temporary home. And at the time, Princess Margriet was born. She was
Mhm.
born at the Ottawa Civic Hospital on January 19th, 1943. So to ensure that she would be a Dutch citizen, to ensure the lineage and that
They
all the
declared it
royalty
Dutch
title and all
soil.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, the Canadian government declared the maternity ward extraterritorial for that period, which meant that the hospital room was temporarily considered part of Dutch territory, allowing her to inherit her nationality.
I thought it was the Grace Hospital she was born at, not the Civic.
Yeah, at the Civic.
Oh,
So,
okay. Oh.
and then every year, and as it's coming up right now, we have the Tulip Festival
Mhm.
in Ottawa
Starting very
uh,
soon, actually.
very soon, May 9th to the 19th. And the festival features over 300,000 tulips blooming along the Rideau Canal. And that's it's a celebration of our ties of tulips and, of course, our ties to the Netherlands
Mhm.
because we received, there was a time back in the day where tulip bulbs were actually very, very big currency because that
Uh,
changed
yes.
right over time. But the Dutch, I think, gave us a huge gift of, I think it was like 50,000 tulip bulbs,
Mhm.
I think. And then we started planting them, and then, that just became a thing. And it just keeps
Well,
going.
uh, oh, well, the wow, I lost my train of thought there. Sorry.
That's it happens to me so often.
It was right there. I'm like, and then I get distracted. And I was like, squirrel. Literally, squirrel. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
tulips, tulip bulbs. You plant it; it blooms every year. The
Yep.
flower is very short lived. It's like
Yes.
literally a few weeks and then it's gone. But
Yeah, and if it comes out when it's really hot, it doesn't last long. It just comes out and
that's right.
just wilts.
But they do bloom every year. Once you plant the bulb, it's
Yep.
permanent.
Yep. Exactly. So, and they've been sending us,
Mm.
gift of tulip bulbs every year since 1945.
Well,
So
they're
we have a lot of them now.
annuals. Are they annuals or perennials? I think that would be an annual, right?
An annual, I think, if they come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
I
I'm not
can't remember
mistaken.
the terminology. Perennial means forever, and it kind of is forever, but they only bloom once a year, and
One.
it's for a short time period, and then they're gone. Last year, the last day of the tulip festival, Bridget and I went out for a wander, and most of the tulips were wilting and dying at that point because it got really hot
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
quickly.
We
So yeah.
we've had the perfect spring so far for tulips.
For
The
tulips,
cool
yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if we don't get a big spike up in the heat, it'll be very nice. It'll be perfect
Well, my
viewing.
buddy has a few that grow just in front of his porch. He's got hostas and tulips, and the tulips are just starting. They're like the stem is there, and they're getting ready to flourish. or flour, I guess you could say. But he says, yeah, that they won't even fully flour. The rabbits will eat them. There's rabbits and raccoons, and they eat them.
Indeed.
Yeah,
So
Tom's saying I thought bulbs were perennials. I think they are. Yeah, okay. Annual is 1 year only, so
yeah,
tulips
annual.
are
Okay,
perennials.
we
They
had
come
them.
up
We had
every
them
year.
flipped then.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we had Dutch Remembrance Day and all that kind of stuff. You saw a lot of stuff on your TV. That's what was going on. So if you're interested in Canadian history, that's a part of Canadian history that's really interesting to read about because it shapes a lot of our character and what we believe about ourselves as a nation. Also, over the course of the weekend, and we have our friend Aussie Pete here in the chat, the Australians had elections, and their elections, short version is it was very similar to ours. Apparently, their Conservative Party was in the lead, and then Trump kind of happened, and then kind of blew the lead, and their Liberal Party, their Progressive Party, which is not called the Liberal Party because in Australia it's sort of like British Columbia. The Liberal Party was actually the Conservative Party, so the
Right.
Liberal Party lost, which is the Conservative Party. And Mr. Albanese, who is the incumbent prime minister, who looked like he was on his way out, got reelected. And in Australia, the leader of the opposition also lost his seat. Don't know if he's trying to get it back again the way Pierre is. But I saw some tweets coming around after that, like some Australians going, Canada, we copied your homework. Sorry. And it's like, no. Don't be sorry. Because not only did you copy our homework, but you did better on the test because you guys crushed the Conservative opposition by giving the incumbent a majority, whereas we left our Conservative group with an escape hatch. So, congratulations, Australia, for understanding the assignment.
Aussie Pete says, no, ours is called the Labour Party. That's Labour, not Labour. Labour has a U in it. Being pedantic. That's the Labour Party.
Yes. Yes. So,
come on, you know I was going to say that.
Yes.
You know.
And my friend, if you have anything more to say about the election, please, we'd love your point of view on it. But yeah, so Australia understood the assignment fully, like this, and saw the opportunity to crush its opposition, had its boot on the neck, and actually pressed. We opted not to press. In typical Canadian fashion, we're too nice. So, but yeah, Australia did that. Also, over the course of the weekend, and I know this because my beaver sweetie happens to be Romanian, there were elections in Romania. If you remember correctly, last time we checked in on the elections in Romania, they have 2 rounds. They have the first round, sort of like in France, where all the parties are competing, and then the top 2 go for a runoff the next week. Well, the first time they had the first round, they had this guy named Kalin. I can't remember his first name, who ran a very interesting campaign in that most of it was online. Yes, and then he won the first round, and then there was a second candidate that was there. Her first name was Elena, more from a more sort of independent party, because there seems to be a down with the establishment mood in Romania as well. But then it was determined that some things happened in that first round election, and the results were annulled. So they had the first round again. Now it seems somewhere in there, the party that was led by the person that finished in second place decided that they would have a better chance with someone else or something. And there was some upheaval of some kind, but it created that fact that she decided that she was still going to run, and there was an independent candidate, Nicor Shudan, that came up, and it looked like there was going to be a vote split. The person that replaced the guy that was booted because he was annulled and wasn't allowed to run again is another very Trump-like person. And again, you look at the face, like the hard face, and like this, like direct from central casting, right? So very pro-Trump. Can't tell right now. My beaver sweetie couldn't tell if he's like really pro-Russian because there's a thing between Russians and Romanians. It wasn't the same type of communism, but definitely anti-EU and pro-Trump. And then there's all the other parties. So they had the first round of voting, and it seemed that a coalition of establishment parties had managed to get its way into second place, meaning that the lady who was leading the party that finished in second place was not going to get her shot. So she actually won her shot in that election, but because the other team screwed up and there was another runoff, now she's not going to get it. A couple of months passed by. Um, the vote split made it such that it looked like the establishment party would get the second slot, which made everybody nervous because given that there's an anti-establishment mood, that would increase the odds greatly that the pro-Trump candidate would win.
Right.
Well, the vote came in like this, and I think it was like by 0.5% or something like that. The independent candidate got just ahead of the establishment coalition. So it'll be a runoff between the independent candidate and the other one. And the parties that finished second, third, fourth, and fifth in that race are all on the same side of the political spectrum. So even though the pro-Trump candidate got 40% in the first round, it looks like it is going to be very, very, very difficult for him to reach 50 in the second, a bit like what happened in France, that people might come together and all that kind of stuff. But it seems if you look at the parties, so by 0.5%, and a lot of that was expatriate vote from Romanians living outside of Romania, but also living outside of Europe. Because remember, they have the Schengen zone. So there's lots of Romanians living in Germany, but go back to Romania like for weekends on high-speed train and holidays and whatnot. They haven't emigrated away. They're just taking advantage of the fact that they live outside of Romania, but taking advantage of all the EU privileges.
Right.
But expat Romanians that live outside, however, because even though most of them did vote for the Trumpian kind of candidate, the anti-establishment feeling for people that actually emigrated away and maybe are used to life under Canadian government or American government without Trump, that type of stuff, or like that type of lifestyle, and the establishment candidates finished third, and it was the expatriate vote that made the difference between in the national vote. The establishment party finished in second and third, thus giving Romania a chance to still be democratic after the second round.
This is a good thing.
Expatriate vote. Expatriate vote. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
Vote. Every vote counts. Even if your votes are the last ones counted. Right?
They all count.
They all
every single
count.
one. And it's important that you vote in every election. And I'm just reading here, in this season of Amazing Race Canada, a one-man team attempts to race from Carleton, Ontario to Battle River, Crowfoot, Alberta to try to win his job back. We need
that inspirational go-go music. And go. All right. So that's all the sort of tidbit, everything going on in the world kind of stuff. One last little thing that we have, this is bringing it back, bringing it home. We had another flip in the seat count.
Yes.
So when we left you on Friday, we had a seat in the flip count that brought the Liberals down to 168. But it seems, and this couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, that another seat flipped. Mr. Grizzly, do you happen to have the article handy? Would you like to take it?
I'm looking for the article. I don't think
If not, I have it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was included.
All right. So,
no, it's a video clip.
Okay, yeah, you could use that too, I think.
Yeah, I'll put the clip up here. Just give me a sec here. Yeah, I didn't realize there was a full article as well, but here's the video clip. We'll run this.
It's not the first change on the political map from races that were too close to call on Monday. A vote validation process has changed Milton East, Halton Hills South from Conservative to Liberal. CTV's Krista Simpson joins us now live with more. Krista, this riding is just east of Wellington County's eastern boundary.
It is a new riding, Tony, created from parts of the previous ridings of Wellington, Halton Hills, and Milton. And on elections elections night, the preliminary results showed it had gone to Conservative candidate Parm Gill, who appeared to have 298 votes more than Liberal Christina Tesser-Dirksen. But during the validation process, when a returning officer goes over everything, Elections Canada says Tesser-Dirksen actually came out on top by a margin of 29 votes, making this one of the closest results in the country. There will be a judicial recount, something that is expected to start in the next few days. But as of now, Tesser-Dirksen is the winner and MP-elect. She's also a lawyer and a Milton Town councillor who says her goal is to amplify the voices of the people she'll represent.
I just think this is a really perfect example of what we hear all the time, but sometimes we don't take seriously. Every vote counts. I mean, we've seen it in a number of ridings across the country, razor thin margins. Every vote really does count. And, you know, there's been times in elections before I was in politics where I thought, oh, really, how much of a difference can I make? But we're seeing it play out in front of us across the country. Yes, it can come down to single digits even. So it's really important that everyone gets out, exercises their franchise, and I hope people learn a valuable lesson from this and continue to be engaged politically.
With this riding now going to the Liberals, their seat count sits at 169. Tony.
Okay, CTV's Krista Simpson with that.
So there is a bit of a, you know, I mean, a difference of what, 29 votes? Fewer than 30, yeah. So 29 votes is what separated them.
Yeah, there's one in Newfoundland where the difference is 12 votes. That's going to an judicial recount, right? And remember the stat that we told you, right? When we counted to the four, right? When it was back at 168, the four closest Liberal ridings that they had lost was a total of 652 votes.
Yeah, that's
if those four seats had flipped 652 votes, now it's lower, given that another seat has flipped like this, we would be talking majority government today.
Well, and I keep reading online, all the Liberals have a razor-thin minority. Razor-thin? What? They have more seats than they had in the last 4 elections.
Yeah, it's very, very healthy.
They're literally 3 seats away from a majority. Please tell me how that's razor-thin. By what metric?
Yes. And here's the other thing, right? You know, because you're hearing the Conservatives going around, particularly Andrew Scheer, go around, but look at all the seats we gained. You guys gained 15 seats.
Yeah.
The Liberals gained 15 seats.
So, well, let's not talk about that.
You're with this flip, you're literally treading water, but you were crowing by having one seat more. Because again, if the guy you are running drives turnout for you, but drives an equal amount of turnout for the other guy and you end up treading water, it's not a win. It's not a win. You stayed in the exact same place, you just have more. Well, but you didn't get ahead.
We still got more, but
you didn't get ahead in any way. It's just like
don't try and talk sense to some of these folks because they refuse to listen to a reasonable fact-based argument. No, facts don't care about my feelings.
I know
my feelings, right?
I know. But
although I will admit, the one thing I have, and I think somebody pointed it, I think it was Steve Paikin wrote an article about it from TV Ontario, wrote an article about how he said, the one thing the media isn't talking about, maybe we should, is the fact that nobody is contesting the results of the election.
Yes.
Nobody officially, like no members of parliament, no leaders, nobody. There are people screaming it, but they really don't understand how any of this works. And I feel for those people. They're just low information, blissfully ignorant.
Yes. Now, Parm Gill.
I gotta get coffee. I'll be right back.
I'm particular, like I say, couldn't happen to a nicer guy, because this is a person that's been around the Conservative movement for a while, and I guess for whom there's been a couple of little controversies. Just recently in this election, according to Ahmad El-Bayoumi, who's the author of the Political Corner, a newsletter on the politics and policies and personalities at Queen's Park. He says, on April 21st, the Liberal Party has filed a complaint to Elections Canada on a potential violation by ex-Ford government cabinet minister turned Conservative candidate Parm Gill. Political Corner has learned after he campaigned inside a facility where early voting was taking place nearby. Now, if true, campaigning inside a facility where early voting is taking place is a big damn no-no. Jeez. Unbelievable. And there are a couple of other things. I believe when he was a minister, he once wrote a letter advocating for something on ministerial letterhead, and shouldn't have done that. So, this is a guy that's not new to controversy, and perfectly fine with him losing the seat. There's some people in the party, even though you don't want them to win, who you think, well, this candidate, if they won their seat, I wouldn't be sad. But like these people have to go. Um, in my book, he was one of the people who had to go. So if this result holds, because remember, it's a validation, right? This is not the audited report, right? Remember, we count the ballots at source, then make sure that what was called in is okay. So we do that type of validation. This is the part that was done there. And then if the difference is less than 1,000th of the total votes cast, it goes to an automatic judicial recount. There are other thresholds by which candidates can ask for a recount, and you have to go to a judge and make the case, and maybe you'll get it or not. But these ones, 12, the one at 26 in Terra, this one here 26, Milton East, Halton Hills South, Terra Nova. That one is 12 difference, and I think there's another one in Quebec. I think which is like 36 or 60 or something like that. All of those three have to go to judicial recounts, just mandated by the law, given the difference. Just pure math requires it. So there are still 3 seats now that could change hands. Two of them are in the hands of the Liberals, and one of them is in the hand of the Bloc. So if the one in the hands of the Bloc flips, well, now we're at 170. Again, now we're 2 away. So, and if we're 2 away, Elizabeth May is already on the record as saying that she would definitely be happy to take a position in cabinet and keep her official green identity. So that would make 171.
Mm-hmm.
And as we mentioned on Friday, Mélanie Joly is working Monsieur Boulris, who is the only NDP MP in the province of Quebec, to make a jump. Now, maybe Mr. Boulris would be interested in being the new leader of the NDP as well, because of all the current MPs, probably him and Jenny Kwan would have the best shots at it of the 7 that have been elected. But there might be people coming in from elsewhere to try and get that prize, like Avi Lewis and maybe Rachel Notley, and maybe who knows, right? Heather McPherson, I believe, seemed to indicate that she might be also interested.
Okay.
However, I saw an interview with her that gave me the sense that maybe she hasn't yet, not saying that she won't, but hasn't yet fully admitted some of the reasons why they lost and some of the changes that they need to make as a party going forward. But, right, this here, if that happened, that would be 172 right now. And we've also heard stories from certain journalists of Quebec CPC MPs who are not that particularly fond of Pierre. So the fact that Pierre had lost a seat maybe gave them a, oh, good. And now he's back, might be like, oh, fuck. And maybe one of them somewhere along the way. And remember, it doesn't have to be now, because, I mean, it would be great if we had a functioning majority that would guarantee a functional government for 4 years and time to put in the plans and deal with Trump during his entire mandate. That would be great. And it would be nice to have it before Pierre runs in the by-election, or before he actually wins his seat, but we really only need it, really, around midterms.
If he wins his seat, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, there's no guarantee. And he also has a leadership review.
Yes.
That's mandatory when a conservative leader loses an election. The next AGM, which is sometime in September, there is an automatic vote. And between now and then, a lot can happen. Like, let's say, for example, Mark Carney is doing such a great job with Trump and other stuff
Mhm.
that over the course of the next 6 months or so, because the by-election will be in, well, I mean, the leadership review will be sometime in September. So over the
Right.
next 5 months or so, the Liberals gain 2 or 3% more in the polls, and the Conservatives drop 4 or 5.
It's
All of a sudden, he
Anything's
does not
possible.
it's not as close, and maybe he doesn't people start asking questions about whether he's the guy for the future, and even though he wins his seat again at the party leadership review, I think maybe we'll go another way."
Well, the thing that is not surprising to me, but many people were like, "I can't believe he's not stepping down. He lost his seat and he lost the
really
election, and he wants to remain as leader." I go, "Because he's a smarmy narcissist asshole. That's who he is.
Yep.
He is convinced you are stupid and he is smarter than you, and that he deserves that position. It's his.
Yep.
This is who the man is. It's who he's always been."
I agree, my friend.
And again, we are not disputing or diminishing the fact that he puts the work in, because he does. It's just he's working towards bad things for most Canadians.
And he seems to have a trouble with prioritizing
hmm
because, again, somebody who is as driven and focused as he is really surprised me that they didn't have all the candidates nominated by the time that the election came, because they were calling for it. You think all those ducks would have been in a row. Really surprised me they didn't have a platform ready to go, all written out pretty much before. Let's just wait a week or two, see if there's anything that happens in the election that we need to slide in or adapt, and then drop it. Can't believe they had no costing whatsoever. Can't believe that they actually tried this new accounting trick and thought that it would work. I mean, all these are, I don't know what he was spending his time doing working so hard, but it wasn't the essential things that he needed to do to ensure that that was a campaign that was gonna work,
Well, he
right?
runs everything from top down.
Yep,
There's nobody tells him anything, not
yeah,
even Jenny Byrne.
yeah. Well,
It's
and that
literally everything comes from him.
yep, and we seem to get that context from the press too, that he seems to be a person that more people tell him, he's wrong or whatnot, the more he just hunkers down.
Yes.
He's convinced he is right.
Yeah,
Um,
he doesn't learn anything. Again, he is an angry teenage boy in a man's body.
yeah, so
He
and
hasn't
we'll have a
changed a
chance
bit
we'll
from high
have a
school.
chance yeah, and we'll have a chance to see this now, right, whether or not he's learned something, because the election did send a message, and he personally got one. By
Mhm.
the way, it seems that, in all this time yet, he still hasn't, had anything to say to the people of Carleton who have supported him for 20 years,
No, 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 not a word.
or Bruce Fanjoy.
No, hasn't congratulated his opponent who
Yeah.
beat him.
In fact, other than, one single tweet since the night of the election, one single tweet, one of the most prolific people on Twitter. If
Mhm.
you look at his Twitter feed, he's got April 28th, vote for change today, find your nearest polling location and bring a friend. April 29th, probably just shortly after midnight, I would say. Yep, 12:53 a.m. Live. Pierre Poilievre speaks on election night. So it's his speech where he says, I'm going to keep going. And then nothing from him on the 30th, nothing from him on the 1st. On
Mhm.
May 2nd, it is with humility and appreciation. Okay, number one, we know you're fucking lying right off the start,
There's
right
no
off the bat,
humility
Denny,
there.
because you do nothing with humility. That is not in your repertoire. Okay, so just
It's
can the
not.
bullshit right now, princess. It's with humility and appreciation that I have accepted Damien Kirk's offer to resign his seat. Okay,
Well,
let's
and
talk
to
about that.
begin with, though, let's just, before we move ahead, being pedantic, humility isn't even the correct word to use there.
No.
It should be with honor.
Yes.
Like he can't even get that right.
Yes. Yes. He's borrowing the word humility because remember that was a big theme in Mark Carney's speech, and this guy tends to lift everything off everyone. Yeah. Okay. I've accepted Damien Kirk's offer. Was it an offer? Really?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it was.
To resign. Was it a resignation? Really? His seat in Battle
6 months
River.
from his full indexed parliamentary pension. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really good pension too.
Yeah.
Battle River Crowfoot, so that I can work. Really? Work to earn the support of the citizens there to serve them in Parliament. Wow, you're gonna, let's see, you were 20 years in one riding where the citizens of that riding decided that you weren't working enough to earn their support, and you're gonna go someplace else and say, "Hey guys, I've just arrived. Oh, look at me. I worked so hard for, oh, what is it, 4 months?
Mm-hmm.
You trust me now, right?
Yeah.
You're
Well,
gonna work so hard over those next 4 months." Yeah, sure, Pierre.
there's another group of individuals throughout the province of Alberta who are like, he's just an Easterner now. He's been there for 25 years.
Yeah.
They literally don't see him as one of their own anymore. They don't.
The guy picked the safest riding, conservative riding in all in Canada, because he plans to work hard to earn.
Yeah. Let me see if I'm trying to do the math on that one.
Bullshit.
I'm doing the math, and 1 + 1 = 4, according to him.
Damien's selfless act. Oh,
Yeah,
honey.
sure.
A man does not win a seat 3 times and is 6 months away from the best pension taxpayer money can offer, and resigns selflessly. So
I wonder what the quid pro quo was for this one. I'd love to know.
exactly, you're following exactly where I'm going, Mr. Grizzly. So this Damien Kirk's this offer, Skippy, air quotes, I guess this selfless offer. We find it very hard to believe that he just called you out of the blue and said, "Hey, it's yours, and I don't need anything for it whatsoever." Or that you called him and said, "Hey, congratulations on winning your seat." And he just offered, "Hey, by the way, would you like it?" Because we're on the tweet calls.
I'm just in my head. I'm hearing, "Hey, girl."
Hi,
Just
how are you?
wondering, could you give up your seat for me, for Daddy Pierre, Daddy Pete?
It's so nice to talk to you. How long has it been? Oh,
Never.
7 years. Oh, well, hey, remember that time 12 years ago? Oh, so good time. We had such a close time. Anyway, I was wondering if you could do me a favor.
I'll make it up to you in the back
Yes.
end.
Title of my next sex tape.
I was waiting for that. I literally was waiting for that. I pitched it to you, and you just knocked it right out of the park. That was right across the plate, right in the sweet spot.
Thank you.
You were using a torpedo bat and hit a 500-footer off that one, man.
Oh my God. Okay. Damien's selfless act to step aside temporarily as a member of Parliament. How? Somebody please explain to me how, in our parliamentary system, somebody wins a seat via an election
Vacates
and
it.
steps aside temporarily.
Was he going to run another by-election somewhere?
Now it is, but this seat here, right? The only time you can temporarily step aside from your seat is, let's say you are involved in a scandal and you decide to step aside while it's being investigated or something. But usually that's from a cabinet position or a committee position, but not, or caucus, but not the actual seat. I don't know anything in our system where you can temporarily step aside from your seat to allow someone else to occupy it. And it's not like Pierre's going to turn around and say, well, okay, I've been here for 8 months. It looks like I'm not going to have an opportunity to be prime minister again. So I'm now going to resign. Thank you for giving me your seat for a couple of months, and that you get to come back and occupy it automatically. Like, you'll need another election to do it.
Where
So there is no temporarily stepping aside.
unless somebody else steps aside so this guy can run again in a different. Wait a minute. Why would he do that? Run in a different riding? I, you and I had predicted together who it would be, and we weren't far off, but it wasn't that
It
person.
wasn't that person. No.
Yeah. It was the person who stepped aside is not who we thought it was going to be.
Nope.
We're not going to say who because it's irrelevant because they didn't do it, so it's not even worth mentioning. But yeah, it happened much quicker than I expected it. I thought it would be a few more days before that announcement. I knew the announcement would come eventually.
I did too, and we'll find out because when we heard about Mark Carney's press conference, we'll talk about that. We get an idea of how the events happened,
Mhm.
and it explains why this was so quick. And it also adds color and texture to show just how desperate this is, because by virtue of how quick it is.
Yes.
Continuing on, Damien's selfless act to step aside temporarily as a member of parliament shows his commitment to change and restoring Canada's promise. No, honey. The change was that Canadians finally voted after 20 years to have a parliament without you in it for a change. If he steps aside to allow you to get back in it, that is literally the opposite of showing a commitment to change. It's keeping you where you were after people told you to get the fuck out. That is not a commitment to change. I will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River Crowfoot. You know nothing about them. You don't know if they're good people. I mean, I assume that they are, but you don't know that. I will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River Crowfoot, and I will continue to hold the Liberal minority government to account until the next federal election, when we will bring real change to all Canadians. Yeah, that's what you've been saying for the last 3 years, honey. Your act is tired. So are you. I'm He literally is now turned himself into a pea stain.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How many times, and again, certainly doesn't. The guy that's already known for being MGTOW
Mm-hmm.
was told no.
Mm-hmm. Can't accept.
He heard try harder, try again, try another way. He did not hear no. No does not mean no. But for some guy who puts MGTOW on his hashtags on his social media accounts for 5 years, I guess that totally tracks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Let me climb up all on top of you all over again, even though you just pushed me off you.
No. You love me. You love me. You know you do. You love me. You know you do.
I am so tired. Nevertheless, he persisted. Everybody told you to go. Oh, by the way, speaking of that one, funny one. I'm sure you might have seen it, but there's this picture of the something reporter that we sometimes talk about on the show, but try to talk about as little as possible, who promised that he would be leaving Canada if Mark Carney won. And well, it turns out he didn't lie. He did leave Canada in first class.
Oh.
Oh yeah, first class seating. Oh, you didn't see that?
No, I did not.
Oh yes, first class seating, and unfortunately, I'm signing out for a few weeks. If you don't see me tweeting, don't worry. I'll be back soon, stronger than ever before, was
Oh.
his tweet, which kind of very much surprised me, because I remember him saying that he wanted to leave. And this is how he is traveling.
Well, first class or business class, either way, it's a very nice, comfortable seat. So who's paying
It
for
looks like
that?
he's got a J seat, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Now, I have no problem with people taking a vacation. But, dude, you said you were going to leave. You didn't say you were going to leave and come back.
That's correct.
So, once again, another person who is not of their word, number one. Number two, somebody's turned around and said, "Oh, angry trigger?" No, not really. Just, wondering why someone can't keep their word again. I'm not angry. I'm just expecting someone to keep their word, and they're not. But I also, however, didn't spend years building a personal brand of myself as being a pleb like you.
Mm.
That photo, a little off brand.
Well, apparently it was photoshopped, according to Brinks. It says that was a
Oh.
Photoshop picture of Plebe. Look at it better. I'll see if I can find it here. I didn't check
But
it.
it's on his account, though.
Oh yeah, he probably photoshopped it though, is what he's saying, to make it look like he's traveling in first class when
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, again, if he photoshopped himself, that's even more dumb, isn't it?
Oh, I can't check it because I'm blocked. He blocked me.
So, I mean, no loss. But, like, come on, man. I'm a pleb. Now, don't get me wrong. If I ever got a J seat on a plane, I would be all over my socials going, "Hey, photo, click, click, hashtag first class, emoji, champagne glass, emoji, sunglasses, emoji, heart, emoji, kiss, kiss. Living it up, bitches." Too. But of course, I'm not getting people to give me money based on the fact that I'm a pleb
Mm-hmm.
like you.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he actually is in first class, hey, enjoy your trip. I probably wouldn't have been snapping pictures of myself all over going, "Hey, flying first class." And if you photoshopped yourself flying in first class when you're trying to present yourself as a man of the people, well, then I got nothing for you. Have fun.
I was able
Knock
to
yourself out.
I was able to get the picture off of another through another feed, and I don't know if it's photoshopped, to be honest with you. It may be. I don't know. I don't know if it's shopped. It doesn't look like it to me from what I can see here, but maybe it is.
Either way, it's,
I don't care.
right.
Go. Don't come back.
Well, I mean, don't care. We cared enough about to mention it.
Well, no,
so-
what I'm saying is leave. I don't care if he's in first
Yeah.
class, business class, or low class. Just
Exactly.
leave and don't come back.
The point here is you promised you would go. Looks, and we would just really, really like you to be of your word.
It's weird. He looks like he was vaccinated. You can tell by the way his face is a little reddish from PNC Bio.
Nasty, nasty, nasty. We approve, but nasty. All right, kids and cubs. The Prime Minister had his first press conference as Prime Minister, official one, and made a lot of news during it. Mr. Grizzly, do you have the YouTube thing up?
I do.
Okay,
It's,
yeah.
it's 1 hour. Do you have a starting point on it?
Yes, I do. I didn't have a chance to include it in the notes, so I will send you these separately here. But we can go to 3:30, and it just 23 seconds, 3:30 to about 3:53. This is close to the opening of it, where Mark Carney opens up with a very interesting thing that I caught, and I didn't know if I was the only one who caught it, but it turns out I wasn't because it seems all the news networks heard it too. So.
Mia, bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. On Monday, Canadians elected a new government to stand up to President Trump and to build a strong economy. Canadians also sent a clear message that their cost of living must come down and their communities need to be safe. As Prime Minister, I've heard these messages loud and clear, and I will act on them with focus and determination. Les Canadiens et Canadiens ont fait entendre.
Canadians made their voices heard.
So, yeah,
I don't know if I missed something there.
I don't know. What do you mean?
Sorry, I got distracted, so I don't know if the clip actually said what I thought it was going to say. Sorry.
Than ever before.
The engagement of Canadians at rallies, on social media, and around the dinner table was very high. And while different visions were put forth by various contenders, we disagreed agreeably, and the leader of every party quickly and graciously accepted the results. At a time when democracies around the world are under threat, Canadians can be proud.
All right. So, some good statements, right, about the strength of our democracy here. Some good boilerplate stuff, but some good context. We'll continue. Now he starts talking about working with others.
Just a second. I got to bring it back because sometimes it takes a minute or two to reload for some reason.
As I've been clear since day one of my leadership campaign in January, I'm in politics to do big things, not to be something. And now that Canadians have honored me with a mandate to bring about big changes quickly, I will work relentlessly to fulfill that trust. As I stressed on election night, I am committed to working with others, governing as a team in cabinet and caucus, and working constructively across parties in Parliament, working in real partnership with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples, and bringing together labor, business, and civil society to advance the nation-building investments that will transform our economy.
Saying all the right things right there.
Yep. Issuing all the olive branches.
Let's work together.
Let's work together. All right.
In the coming weeks, I will unveil more of our plans to engage with Canadians as we embark on the biggest transformation of our economy since the end of the Second World War. This will be an incredibly exciting time as we take control of our economic destiny to create a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. We will begin to set out that new path for Canada with a new cabinet to be sworn in on the week of the 12th of May and the recall of Parliament on May 26th. We will have the privilege of welcoming His Majesty King Charles III, who will deliver Canada's speech from the throne on May 27th. Her Majesty the Queen will join this visit. This is an historic honor which matches the weight of our times. Je sais que beaucoup.
So there was the first bit of news there. So it's confirmed. And again, as we mentioned on the show, and from the articles that I read and whatnot, it seems that the king is very keen and was very keen to do this. As you might know, the king has had a couple of issues with cancer, and his travel schedule is somewhat limited, but he made a point that he was going to come to Canada. The first place he went was Australia, his first out-of-country visit.
Right.
But this will be a second out-of-country visit since basically acquiring the crown, and it's going to be to Canada. And like I said, he made sure that there would be time in his schedule out of all the places that he can go to make sure that he would be able to do this one, is the word on the tweet.
This one from Brinks. If you want to have a conservative have a meltdown, have a liberal leader act conservative.
Right. Right. So what we're looking at here, like, remember when I said, like, this is a BFD. It's a really BFD that the sovereign is going to come to Canada to deliver the, what I call, IQ 47, watch your fucking step speech from the throne.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
It's like, I am the sovereign of this country, and I've come all the way from across the pond to sit in this chair to say Canada is a sovereign country. I hope you're listening. Right? So that's the context that is going on here. He's coming to assert our sovereignty. Now, the Bloc and the Parti Québécois tried to make a big deal about that. Oh, we can't have to do that. Remember, buddies, on this one, you might want to temper your opposition, because he's here to assert both of our sovereignties.
Correct.
And the king, if you've been paying attention, seems to be particularly moved by the Indigenous issue.
Yeah, he's not messing around when it comes to that.
So
He really
he's probably here to assert all three of our sovereignties here. Because remember, if Quebec was an independent country surrounded by all of us, including Canadians, that had no obligation or duty to the French language or culture, we're talking about a whole different threat to Quebec's sovereignty. So by asserting all of Canadian sovereignty, including Quebec sovereignty, including sovereignty of Indigenous peoples, even though it's not to the king to assert the sovereignty of Indigenous peoples, but he can certainly say there and go, as monarch, if they assert theirs, I'm standing with them. Gonna have to go through me as well, which I think he's prone to do.
I have to go in a minute here.
Yeah. These things matter. These things matter.
I'll play the next clip and then I got to roll out.
Okay.
On Tuesday, I had a very constructive call with President Trump, and we agreed to meet next Tuesday in Washington. Our focus will be on both immediate trade pressures and the broader future economic and security relationship between our two sovereign nations. My government will fight to get the best deal for Canada. We will take all the time necessary, but not more, in order to do so. In parallel, we will strengthen our relationships with reliable trading partners and allies. Canada has what the world needs, and we uphold the values the world respects.
Right. So, Mr. Grizzly, did you have any opening impressions there before you have to go?
Once again, he's saying all the right things that I think the vast majority of Canadians want to hear. Even the ones who didn't vote Liberal are going like, let's give this guy a shot. Now, I've noticed something here in the chat. Somebody saying he's not behaving like a conservative, and it's a very heavy spending agenda. Not exactly conservative. Yes. But let's point out the fact that Stephen Harper ran multiple deficits as a Reform Party stalwart.
Yeah.
So, conservatives have been known to spend a lot of money, usually not to the benefit of the average citizen, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And
That's the difference here.
And that there's behaving like a conservative, capital C. In this case, he would be, if we're talking about spending, or behaving like a conservative, small c.
Well, and again, you need to look at programs that historically progressive conservative parties had started in this country. The idea for a UBI in Canada came from former progressive conservative Senator Hugh Segal. It's an expensive program to get it up and running, but in the long run, it saves us billions of dollars. Because the ancillary benefits of a UBI are less policing costs, less healthcare costs, less. It's just a better system all around. It's been proven time and time again. We just need somebody that has the cojones to step up and make it happen. I was hoping Mark Carney would be that guy. I don't know that that's going to be the case. Maybe. I mean, he just got in. Let's see what happens. I do have to go. I will see you all tomorrow.
Sir,
until that time, take care. Yes?
Before you go, can you just tell me, let me know where you are on the timestamp so I can take over?
7:56.
Thank you.
Okay, because then he goes into French. So 8:52 would be the next clip. So
perfect. Thanks.
All righty. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks, my friend. All right, kids and cubs here. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's continue with Mr. Carney, and went to take a check, Yes, in that first little clip, he did say the thing that I thought he had said because I got distracted for a second. But you'll notice like he started right off mentioning crime and affordability. Right off in the opening. I heard you. I will. Don't worry, I'm on that. Uh, Mr. Carney did something really interesting. I think I mentioned it in the past show during the election, where the Conservatives kept on complaining that he's copying us. It's like, in a way, for certain things, it was like he was copying them in certain things. Um, in that, Mr. Carney and the Liberals realized strategically that things like a tax cut or that type of stuff, if the Conservatives were going to offer it, they would need to have something similar on the table to neutralize it, to not make it a point of difference, so that they can focus on the points of difference. So when they were saying something, Conservatives saying we're going to do something, Conservatives would either preempt it or do it too, or add it later or something, but in other amounts or with like slightly different caveats or, more conditions or better restrictions or all that type of stuff. But the goal, again, wasn't to copy, right? Was to neutralize. If you're going to offer a tax cut and we're not going to offer one, well, then we turn around and say, we're going to offer a tax cut. So let's just offer a tax cut as well. Somewhere in the same market, everything that Mr. Carney offered was slightly less than what Mr. Polyev was offering, which allows him to say that he's being fiscally responsible as well. And, just neutralize that like playing poker. You bid, I bid. Okay, now let's see what you got. So, but Pierre, as we just showed, has been the one that's been lifting off everybody here. But in this case, in this whole opening, we're saying, I'm going to work with people. I'm going to work across party lines. I'm not here to be somebody. I'm here to do, right? Not here to be something. I'm here to do some things. That's a different attitude, right? Because the whole Pierre identity, and you have to understand, like, again, for those who are new here, I'm a big believer in the battle of tone versus countertone when we're talking about strategy and communications. So in this case, we've got Pierre for prime minister. I'm inevitable. Oops, I lost, but I'm inevitable. I'm destined to be prime minister. I'm going to run again, even though you told me not. That whole tone, me, 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 me for prime minister. Vote for me. I will do. Versus, I'm here to do things, not be something. It's a very, very sharp contrast in tone. The Conservatives, the stories that we're getting from New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Ontario's, and even Quebec, so if you're not conservative enough, if you're not real conservative, if you're not pure, if you're not hard right conservative the way Pierre is, you're not a real conservative, and we've got no time for you. Versus the 40-something% that voted for the Conservatives. I know you didn't vote for me, but I heard that these are the things that preoccupy you. I will put them on my priority list. It is a completely different contrasting tone. You don't support everything I support? Well, screw you. There's no room for you. You can't sit with us. Versus, hey, you told me you don't want me, but you also said you want these things. Even though you said you didn't want me, I heard you, and I'm going to work to give you those things. Maybe after that, you'll want me. One is definitely additive, Mr. Carney, and one's definitely subtractive. It's a very, very big difference in contrast that's being offered here. So we have dates as well, right? May 12th, the week of May 12th, at some point, cabinet will be named. So as I mentioned on the previous show, that cabinet would probably be named a little bit before, so they have time, a couple of weeks to read their binders and get up to speed and all that kind of stuff. So there we got there. So the 12th, with Parliament returning on the 26th, being confirmed by the Prime Minister himself, and then of course dropping the bit of news that on the 27th, the speech from the throne is going to be delivered by King Charles. Then talks about our immediate relationship with the United States. Then there's a segment in French and it drops more news saying that, in fact, there will be a meeting on Tuesday. Right? So the Prime Minister will be in the United States. Actually, today he's going to be there so at some point today, maybe have a couple of other meetings before having the big one there. Yep, that'll be on Tuesday. And then there's a lot of questions about that. And, hopefully we'll have a chance to get into those a little bit over the course of the rest of the show. Then he comes back a little bit to talking about some domestic issues. So we'll see what it is that he's got to say here as I transfer over the screen. And here we go, kids and cubs.
We will reinforce our strength here at home by building an economy that creates jobs.
Whoops. I should probably put that at normal speed. There we go. Sorry, the speed was off.
Grows incomes and withstands shocks. Pour y arriver, nous allons bâtir une seule économie canadienne.
We need to build one Canadian economy instead of 13. By Canada Day, my government will reach that objective.
Cet objectif. We will remove federal barriers to internal trade by July 1st to help unleash the full potential of Canada. We will work with provinces, territories, and Indigenous groups to identify projects that are in the national interest, projects that will connect Canada, deepen our ties with the world, and grow our economy for generations. We'll make the Canadian government a catalyst for these projects, not an impediment. And we'll always be guided by our conviction that our economy is only strong when it serves everyone. That means bringing down costs for Canadians and helping them get ahead. So we will put more money in Canadians' pockets with a middle-class tax cut that will take effect by Canada Day, saving two-income families up to $825 a year. We will protect the programs that save families thousands of dollars a year, including pharmacare and $10 a day daycare. We will expand the Canadian dental care plan to 8 million Canadians, saving the average family over $800 per visit. To lower costs for first-time homebuyers, we will cut GST on new homes at or under $1 million, allowing them to save up to $50,000, and we will lower the GST on homes between $1 million and $1.5 million. These tax measures will provide immediate relief, but they won't be sufficient to make housing affordable again. For that, we have to build. We will address failures in the housing market head-on, unleashing the power of public-private cooperation at a scale not seen in generations. We will slash development charges in half for all multi-unit housing. That's about $40,000 off the cost of a two-bedroom apartment in Toronto. And we will create an entirely new Canadian housing industry in modular and prefabricated housing using Canadian technology, Canadian skilled workers, and Canadian lumber. We will build houses faster, at lower costs, with a smaller environmental footprint in construction and greater efficiency once families move in. And to kickstart these efforts, we will create a new entity, Build Canada Homes, and provide $25 billion in financing to private developers.
All right, kids and cubs. So a couple of other things I would like you to notice here in terms of style. You'll notice that he's sitting at the big sort of table with the Canada flags behind him. Often when we see a Prime Minister deliver this type of thing, he's at a podium somewhere and standing right with something in front of the podium. This is very much closer to the Governor of Bank of Canada style. If you ever watch, not very many Canadians, unless they're interested in that or working in that world, will actually sit down and watch the Governor of the Bank of Canada deliver something. But if you remember, for example, our COVID briefings, right, it was all at this big sort of table like this and had a lot of people over there. So it's a little more, people have commented a lot about this press conference, how you can hear that it has much more of a business meeting type style, right? We're all in the boardroom. this person sitting at the head of the table there, telling us, giving us the update. This is what we've done. This is what we've done. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. Here's the plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Here are the things we're working on. This, and just explaining it. So it does have a different vibe. Yeah, you will notice in there talking about dropping more news. For example, he is going forward with the expansion of dental care for people who are 18 to 64. That will be about, which will expand the program to cover about 8 million. I'm not sure if it's 8 million additional people or 8 million total, but that will be the full program. So he's committed to that. And now the NDP can't say they forced him to do it because he was the prime minister and he was not obligated in any way, shape, or form. And he did not meet with the NDP and he chose to announce it. So there you go. So the continuation of the dental program will be taking place as well, as we knew, because he ran on it. Childcare and pharmacare is still staying. No, nothing in there about him planning to expand that. For example, there might not be an expansion of pharmacare in any way, shape, or form, but at least what's there will be maintained, and dental care will cover everyone else. And then, so throughout there, all the various measures, right? The GST cut on houses and all of that type of stuff. So he's listing them all off, putting them together in some type of like comprehensive package so that we could all see him. But he's definitely got things to do. Next, he moves forward on this topic, goes a little forward, talking about defense, security, and immigration. Things are really related to that. So I guess it could go under a whole bigger block of issues related to sovereignty. So let's see what the Prime Minister has to say about this one.
And qualified
My
Canadian
government
workers and
will
Canadian
focus
wood.
on keeping Canada secure as a sovereign nation and Canadians safe in their communities. We'll build a stronger Canadian armed forces to protect Canadians, defend our sovereignty, and support our allies. We'll strengthen our border security with 1,000 more CBSA officers, as well as scores of dog teams, drones, and scanners to fight the traffic of guns and drugs. We'll strengthen Canadian law enforcement by hiring 1,000 more RCMP officers and giving law enforcement more tools to fight crime. We will toughen the criminal code and bail laws for those threatening the safety of Canadians, including making bail harder to get for those charged with stealing cars, with home invasion, human trafficking, and smuggling. Nous allons bâtir la confiance en notre système de justice. Et nous allons faire de même
We will
avec notre
build
système de
confidence in our
l'immigration.
justice system, and the same thing
We
with
will
our
return
immigration
our
system.
immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and international students at less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027. That's a sharp drop from the recent high of 7.3%, and this will help ease strains on housing, on public infrastructure, and social services. At the same time, we will work to attract the best talent in the world to build our economy. Canada has what everyone wants. We're a confident nation that celebrates our diversity, that believes in and practices free speech, that respects the rule of law, that has a vibrant democracy. We value innovators and builders. We trust science. We protect our immense natural heritage. For Canadians abroad thinking about returning to build their lives in our nation, there's never been a better time to come home.
So that right there is a message. There's never been a better time to come home. Wow. So again, defense, security, immigration. I hear Pete asking in the chat, how predominant was immigration in your election campaigns? Because here in Australia, every second discussion, it seemed. Yeah, immigration has been a big thing here over the past while, but mostly it's been pertaining to a staffing shortage that we had post-COVID, and then how it affected policy and how it affected housing policy and access to housing, and a big impact, particularly in Ontario, with regard to uh, temporary immigration in the form of student visas. It seems that there may have been uh, a lack of verification when it came to some types of professional training colleges that were more fly-by-night organizations and a little more exploitive. And we ended up in a situation where, due to a housing shortage and provincial governments, again, particularly in Ontario, not funding post-secondary education from the core budget, but from foreign student fees, when we had to essentially put a cap on that type of temporary immigration, which will reduce pressure in terms of demand for housing and social services, and the wraparound services, but also could create an issue with regard to staffing and employment. Might be less of an issue now that the economy will probably be slowing down with which was going on with Trump. But had we been continuing with the Biden sort of type economy, that might have been a bigger issue in that context. There's also the issue of asylum seekers crossing through parts of the border that are not manned. That was a big issue in the province of Quebec from beforehand, from the first Trump administration. It seems that those numbers are starting to go up with the second administration, given what they are doing with their policies in terms of rounding up people and deporting them and canceling special visas, particularly for Haitians who were granted some special visas after there had been a few natural disasters on the island, to come and temporarily, get back on their feet before having to go back at some point. And it seems that those are being canceled, even though the infrastructure is not there in Haiti for people to go back. And on top of that, there's this big gang war going on as well. So all these immigration issues have been sort of like feeding into a pot, but surprisingly, during this election, like I said, in the whole sort of 2-year campaign with Pierre Poilievre as a leader, there was a lot of focus on immigration, but during the campaign, surprisingly, very little. Um, I thought it would have been a much more prominent issue, but it seemed like pretty much everyone agreed to just make the basic boilerplate statements, maybe because people were afraid of making a bozo eruption by saying something accidentally racist, um, or intentionally racist, but not being able to cover it up well. Uh, but no, now that you mention it, Pete, I'm really surprised because I would have expected that it would have been a bigger issue in our election, and it wasn't at all. And yeah, for Australia, I know it is indeed a very significant issue. Um, but yeah, really weird. Yeah, as Kitland M says here, the overwhelming issue was Trump because of the 51st state crap, and probably because of geography. I mean, we're literally right there, and it's casual threats of annexation tend to get people's attention. And a lot of things kind of become secondary. But yeah, indeed. Um, Surprising. In a normal election, though, if there hadn't been a Trump thing, it probably would have been a much bigger issue because the Conservatives were very much trying to play to it in the lead up to the election and make it a big thing. All right. Continuing on here with the Prime Minister, he also basically, this is the end of his talking at us portion of the press conference, where he kind of brings it all together with the final message, a little bit of uh, Team Canada, go, go sort of patriotism here. But again, not not the bold sort of USA type, but the more sort of like quite confident thing that he's been doing over the course of his run for the leadership and then his run for his run for government, which is a vibe that I personally, and this might be just a matter of personal taste, find very appealing. Again, particularly in the context of countertone, where you have all that noise from the other side. We're going to stand up for Canada. We're going to bring change. We're going to do it with strength. Um, you know, from the Conservatives. And it's not that the Prime Minister isn't saying that we shouldn't do it from a position of strength, but it's not sloganeering, right? It just seems to be like, I am supremely confident that we can do this, and therefore we're going to do this. So it comes from a different place in the body. It comes from a different place in the soul, and therefore it hits different. But I like this form of confidence. I like the fact that when he's talking about nation building, he's talking about nation building as a project in which we are all involved. And again, making the comment again that it's going to be tough work, but it is something that we can do. So just a lot of people are coming like Prime Minister Dad like this, but there's a bit of Prime Minister Coach in him as well. That might be the hockey speaking, but I particularly like this vibe from him. So let's see what he's got on offer for us here to close it all off before the Q&A session. Oh, come on. I literally just played through the damn commercial so that I could cue it there, and it won't let me have it. So I'm sorry, kids and cubs. I thought I was going to make a smooth transition for you here, and that did not happen. So I will need a couple of seconds, unfortunately, for the commercial to go through, and then I will be able to bring you back the thing. Technology. Sometimes it really does not want to cooperate. And this particular commercial for this particular company, I have noticed, is particularly present. Oh, God. I see it a lot. All right. Let's try that one more time, kids and cubs.
In the NHL, play for a variety. Canadians in the NHL play for a variety of teams passionately against each other. But when they're in a once-in-a-lifetime series such as the Four Nations or the Olympics, those same Canadians come together to win it all. During elections, Canadians play and cheer for different teams. Now that election is over, and we are in a once-in-a-lifetime crisis. It's time together, it's time to come together to put on our Team Canada sweaters and win big. Il est temps d'être unis.
It is time to unite. United, Canada can do difficult things, things that have seemed impossible.
Now is the time for ambition, to be bold, to meet this crisis with an overwhelming positive force that is a united Canada. It's time to build, and my government is getting to work to build. Build big, bold, and build now. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
All right. So, again, just some if you're noticing too, like he leans forward and looks right at you when he's like driving home some points, right? I mean, he looks down, looks at his notes, right? Like this, but he looks down. Again, very, very business meeting like. So we've been convened to the meeting. He's let us know that he's heard certain things, that he plans to work across the board, provinces, territories, all that kind of stuff. Recently had a meeting with Danielle Smith that ended with Danielle Smith publishing something, which again, same impression for me as when he had that first phone call with Trump. Then all of a sudden Trump had those, the tone like completely changed for all of a sudden. And we're like, who are you and what did you do with Trump? Well, Danielle Smith was the same thing. It's like, I've got like 9 demands and you need to meet them now and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden has a meeting with her, and then all of a sudden it's just finished a positive first meeting with Prime Minister Mark J. Carney. We spoke at length about the policies and legislation that are holding back Alberta's economy and specific proposals for projects and legislative reforms that will significantly increase market access for Alberta oil and gas, agricultural products, and other goods. The Prime Minister made it clear he intended to rapidly advance these kinds of nation-building products in the coming weeks and months. We also discussed our ongoing trade dispute with the United States and how the federal government can work cooperatively with our province to advance both Canada's and Alberta's interests. Again, that framing, how the federal government can work cooperatively with our provinces. It's the other way around. I know it's supposed to be mutual cooperation, but you never talk about you as Alberta working cooperatively with Canada to advance Canada's interests as well. It's a two-way street, honey. But I digress. You're doing okay, so I won't hold your feet to the fire too much on this one. Repairing the damage to Alberta's economy caused by Ottawa's last 10 years of anti-resource legislation and policies will take tremendous effort and cooperation. However, today's conversation was a positive first step. Okay, yes, there was the snarky remark, the parting shot in there. Like, repairing the damage to Alberta's economy caused by Ottawa's last 10 years of anti-resource, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But today's conversation was a positive step, is how she ended, and she started with just finished a first positive meeting. Negative Nancy is feeling positive. Damn, Mark Carney, what are you saying to these people when you talk to them on the phone? Like, geez, let me in on it. That could be that's a useful skill. So, yeah, right. We've got the plan. We know what the first projects that we're working on. We've got some big dates coming on. We go the 12th, the 26th, the 27th, this Tuesday. Man's got a plan. Short, sweet, effective, not a lot of flowery language, not a lot of fluff. A lot of people were impressed. For all the people that are saying, run the country like a business, and even though you really should not run a country like a business because the economic situations are completely different and the lifespan is also different. This was very business style. So if you're running a country like a business while still recognizing that a country isn't a business, and Mark Carney, as a former public servant, longtime public servant, does understand that difference, right? He's not just from the private world. You might, again, have the weird unicorn in Mark Carney, the person who actually understands this subtle nuance and can actually act upon it and move forward with that in consideration from the plan, from the get-go, which I would assume would help smooth things and make things run more efficiently. Again, personal bias, I have no evidence of it, but I just assume that if it did happen that way, if things were organized to happen that way, certain things might be able to get done a little more quickly. So we'll see. But right now, this is, again, maybe from all these years of being, a central banker and working with people in a whole bunch of different fields and having to meet with them, but he definitely has the diplomacy skills that are required for this position, even though he's not a natural politician. The pragmatist part of him, again, this is a very practical press conference, is kind of appealing. At the moment, it's kind of politically sexy. We're in interesting times. Okay, so we'll get to the Q&A session here. The first one is from Ashley Burke of the CBC, asking specifically about stuff related to Trump and his announcement with that.
As possible. We'll start with Ashley Burke from CBC. Good morning, Prime Minister. What specifically do you want to get out of your first in-person meeting with President Trump, and will you be focused on trying to get the tariffs lifted?
Thank you for the question. For the first meeting, as I mentioned in my remarks, and the President and I discussed when we had our constructive call, there are two sets of issues. There are the immediate tariffs, both sectoral and so-called reciprocal and fentanyl tariffs, and then there is the broader relationship. So addressing both sets of issues. We'll see how that progress goes. It's important to get engaged immediately, which has always been my intention, has always been his intention, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity for quite a comprehensive set of meetings that will take place on Tuesday.
How do you avoid an Oval Office ambush like we saw happen to President Zelensky?
Look, I go there with the expectation of constructive, difficult, but constructive discussions. That's the spirit of the conversations that the President and I had. You go to these meetings well prepared, understanding the objectives of your counterpart, and always acting in the best interest of Canada, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
All right. So, good opening questions here, particularly the second one. Get a little bit of some insights. Again, clearly not taking the bait. Right? There's an opportunity for bait. There's an opportunity to take that answer and grandstand, do some showmanship there. Keeping it nice, calm, cool, collected. Right? Not going in there assuming that there's going to be anything of bad faith. Of course, he's saying that publicly, but we all know that these types of meetings have contingencies on contingencies on contingencies, and one of them is planning as if, yes, it would be a bad faith. There is a plan for that, but there's the plan for that, and then there's what you talk about in public. So diplomacy, not assuming. I have no reason to assume, given that we are a brand new, fresh relationship with no mistakes in it already, that I can go down there like this, and it will continue being this type of relationship with no new mistakes in it out there. So, and I have no reason. Now, after that, of course, over the course of the weekend, Trump did a couple of things that might give him reason, might actually said a couple of things that, well, even if Mark Carney turned around and said, you know what, that meeting we were supposed to have on Tuesday, something came up, we might have to postpone that. Because Trump did delve in on the weekend again of some 51st state stuff, that a lot of people turn around and says, well, that's not the respect that we're looking for the day before the meeting. So I'm not sure he will do it because this guy, Mark Carney, is on a mission and the time is ticking. But if Mark Carney did decide to say, you know what, I think we can wait a few days more because Trump really wants this meeting. I mean, it's not like Trump doesn't have a few things going on in the United States that he needs to distract from. And like I said, Canada is usually his punching bag, but Trump seems to be in desperate need of a couple of good news stories. So a day with the most celebrity global banker on the planet, former global banker, now prime minister on the planet, and side-by-side photos of that, is something that could be a good news day for him. Had a meeting with the new Prime Minister of Canada. Everything went great. He's a great guy. No fights, no disputes, no meltdowns, no nothing. He could desperately use a day like that. So maybe there won't be a tactical thing, but then again, south of us, I mean, let's face it, this government, that administration does have a particular knack for being self-destructive. So you can't walk into there confident that that will be the case, but he could very much use a good news day, and this is definitely one that's gift wrapped. All he has to do is have Mark Carney over and behave like a normal person for about 3 hours. Maybe a little more. Yes. And he has a good news day that could last like 1 or 2 or 3 days. We'll see. Oh, bye, Kid Pete. Thank you for stopping in and joining us. I'll send you a little something later. Yay. Love that guy. I love that guy so much. Okay. Kids and cubs. Let's keep on going. The next questions had a little bit to do with like how does the fact that he got a minority government impact his position with Trump? Again, a little bit more bait there. Prime Minister didn't really decide to jump on that in any way, shape, or form, right? There's not. How would I put it? It's an interesting question, but it isn't. It isn't anything that anybody was waiting with bated breath for an answer or particularly relevant here. I mean, you get the government you get, right? You get the mandate you get from the people, and you do the best you can with it. So, I'm not sure that the minority government or majority government particularly impacts this. I mean, sure, with a majority government, you're in place for 4 years, and you can, maybe have a little more leeway or be a little more bold because you don't have to get the agreement of other parties for stuff. But in this particular case, given the mission that he's given himself and the manner in which he's leading, we got to do this. We don't have a lot of time. Please, would love for you to get on board. It seems to be, like I said, a slightly different tactic. Now, he gets asked a question here about scheduling for the by-election because we talked on the show, right? The Prime Minister determines when the by-election is. Prime Minister has 6 months to announce it, and then can announce how long it will be. So you can make you can take the full 6 months and then say it will be a 2-month-long campaign for the by-election, and like delay Pierre for 8 months from the time where he actually announces it that it will be taking place. So there's a lot of people would call that games or whatnot. It depends. Again, all these things depend on the place from the place they come from, within the soul and the heart when you're making these moves. But there was an opportunity to be petty or to go, out of your way to make it more difficult. But then again, right, the rules allow it. So, right, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But again, conservatives complain about everything, and everything is a grave injustice to them, no matter what they do. So, if you do decide to quote unquote play these games, you could risk creating separate narratives or giving them material with which they can run across the country to their base and start nailing themselves to a cross as going, oh my God, look how mean and unfair he is. I mean, it's not mean and unfair that the guy who was rejected wants to, go and run in another seat right away and get a second chance at it. But, to make him wait 8 weeks, make him wait until early next year to be able to get back into the House, that would be cruel and not okay. Right? Again, it's fuck your feelings. But here, the Prime Minister was be fully in his rights to say, oh, wait, we'll see, or not give a clear answer, or just keep things dangling. Zigs. Well, a lot of people expected him to zag. So let's see what it is that he has to say about Pierre running in a by-election and scheduling that. Just make sure that we get him on the bigger screen. Here we go.
Poilievre did not win his seat, and therefore he will try to return to Parliament by asking someone else to give him their seat. Will you hold a by-election? And I'd like to know what your comments are when it comes to choosing the date of that by-election. Do you want to wait until November or do it as quickly as possible? I already told Mr. Poilievre that I will trigger a by-election if that is the decision of the Conservative Party as soon as possible. Very simple.
I've already indicated to Mr. Poilievre that if it's the decision of him and the Conservative Party to trigger, if I can put it that way, a by-election, I will ensure that it happens as soon as possible. Okay. No games, nothing, straight.
Okay.
No games, nothing, straight. I'm not sure the Conservatives were expecting that. Not sure the Conservatives were expecting that. But that gives you a hint into something. So Prime Minister Carney had a conversation with Mr. Poilievre on the phone, where he indicated to him, Mr. Poilievre, if you decide to do this, I know a lot of other people do this type of stuff, we won't. Just find your seat. We'll call it at the earliest convenience. And then what does Pierre do? Minutes later, got a seat. This Damien Gurrick guy, what a great guy, offered me his seat. Yeah, I've got one right now. Let's go. It's a little thirsty. He could have got the classier way to do that would have been for the Prime Minister to say that. Say, oh, go, thank you so much. And then, wait a week and go, oh, now I've caught one. I've done the work. But the Prime Minister has a meeting, telephone conversation with Pierre Poilievre. And Pierre, where the Prime Minister says, you want to go for it. And then Pierre Poilievre at 1:46 p.m. tweets, it's with humility and appreciation that I've accepted the offer to resign. I'm looking here at the press conference. This is 11:23 a.m. Eastern Time. So Mark Carney announces to Canada at 11:23 a.m. Eastern Time, and fewer than 2 hours later, Pierre is like, I've got a seat to run in. Now we know how it happened so fast. Quietly, behind the scenes, the Prime Minister told him, you got it. So again, we have tone and countertone, where we've got Pierre going, yeah, but I got more votes than the last time. And yeah, but. And you got the Prime Minister going, yeah, if you want to run again and you think that can do it for you, kid, knock yourself out. Again, there's something about that confidence that can be disconcerting. I mean, if I was a conservative, I'd be turning around and like, should I be paranoid? Like, this was way too easy. Like, what's he planning? I mean, we know that Carney always has a plan because his, sort of driving ethos is plan beats no plan. And a lot of people, when I say that, turn around and goes, no, you're seeing something that's not there. Carney's just got like shit to do and he's got busy and he's not planning anything. Yeah, what if that was the plan? Conservatives operate according to the thinking that they believe that everybody else on the planet, or at least in this country, is as awful as they are. They can't imagine a world in which people are actually decent and do the decent thing for decent reasons. So if they're sitting there going, what's he up to? Mark Carney is just like, dude, there is no catch. It's just there's a tight timeline and there's a lot to do. And I'm going to focus on that. And if you guys want to focus on all that kind of stuff, like, go ahead. I'll be doing my thing here. But hey, knock yourselves out. How you want to spend your time is your business. I'll be working on the affairs of the nation. It's like that thing on April Fool's when we said we have no joke and says, oh, what's the joke? Is you say there's no joke and then there's a joke coming. It's like, no, there's no joke. Like, there's no catch. But there's got to be a catch. Liberals are so sneaky and underhanded. It's like, there's literally no catch, just straight, no games. What are you up to? Nothing. Just run. Oh, it's sneaky somehow. Okay. Right? There seems to be this going on. This guy, and we saw it sometimes in the debate, seems to be because he's not a politician, but he is learning political craft relatively quickly, but he is a diplomat, is almost amused by all of the flapping of the wings and the moving of air and all of that kind of stuff. And the conservatives are going to be there like this. Pierre's going to get a seat and go, look at us. We did it. We've come back. We won. Champion. And it's like, you got Andrew Scheer going on TV going like, Pierre Poilievre's going to be back in the seat in no time. Yeah, he will. Thanks to who? Who created the winning conditions for that to be possible that Pierre would be back in the seat in no time? Oh, yeah, that would be the Prime Minister. Oh, my God, these people. Okay. But yeah, literally, the vibe I get is, yeah, what you do with your own time is your own business. Knock yourselves out. I'm good. He's then asked a question about the visit of the king and basically Quebec, because, again, he got a lot of his seats in the province of Quebec. And, it's like this, well, the leader of the PQ and the leader of the Bloc have problems with that. Are you not sort of antagonizing? And unfortunately, the answer wasn't as strong as it could be. I would have given the answer that I mentioned earlier, but like the sovereign, both Quebec and Canada's sovereignty and the sovereignty of not both, but the sovereignty of Indigenous peoples of Quebec and of Canada are all being threatened at the same time in the same way by this guy south of us. It's like to have the sovereign of the nation come to assert all of our sovereignty in the face of a common threat. There's nothing bad that can come from that. And just leave it there. The answer wasn't. The answer, unfortunately, just wasn't sufficient. It wasn't all that interesting, and it wasn't terrible. It's just like it wasn't controversial. Won't cause any brouhaha. But there was a better answer that could have been given. Had a little more work been put on it. But we'll move from that one and go back to what the meat
So in
of
this
stuff
video,
is here. A lot of people wanting to talk about 51st state because, again, Donald Trump decided to make some comments. Again, not sure if Donald Trump's comments came. I think Donald Trump's comments over the course of the weekend, over the course of the weekend came after this. So this is more having to do with the thing that came up in the last few days of the campaign, where someone somewhere leaked that during the first phone call that Trump did mention something about 51st state at some point during the conversation that Mr. Carney stated was a conversation in which Canada's sovereignty was respected. It is possible for both things to be true at the same time. But of course, when a situation like that arises and you've announced that you have been on the phone with the same person who did that the first time, the question about whether or not it kind of happened again is kind of bound to come up. So it did. And let's see how it was handled.
Hi, Mr. Carney. In your second call with the president, did Mr. Trump outright say or insinuate at any point that Canada should become the 51st state?
He did not.
All right. We've heard Mr. Trump on April 23rd and his surrogates throughout the final days of the campaign reiterate the idea that they believe Canada should become the 51st state. On the campaign trail, you said on multiple occasions that respect for Canada would be one of the key things in terms of having a meeting with him. Do you think over the past few days we have seen respect for Canada from the Trump administration?
Look, it's always important to distinguish want from reality. La volonté et la réalité, right? What someone wants and what is reality, and what the Canadian people clearly have stated, virtually without exception, is this will never, ever happen. And if any of the leaders of the party and their representatives would attest to that, I think the votes attest to it. I think the public dialogue attests to it as well. We are, we're meeting as heads of our government to discuss that partnership. Now, I'm not pretending those discussions will be easy or they won't proceed in a straight line. There'll be zigs and zags, ups and downs. But as I said in my remarks, I will fight for the best deal for Canada and only accept the best deal for Canada and take as much time that's necessary.
Davis Legree, iPolitics.
Hi, thanks for taking our questions. Just one from me to try and squeeze some more reporters in. But to my colleague's point, the White House's public position has continued to be that Canada should be the 51st state. You yourself have said that Donald Trump is trying to break Canada. Considering all that, how can you expect good faith negotiations when you travel to Washington next week?
Look, I think first I've had the direct conversation with him on whatever day it was, Tuesday, I guess it was, a couple of days ago. And we agreed to have those negotiations, very clear discussion between us, as I said, very constructive. I would say the time allocated to our meeting and the seniority of he's the president, so that's as senior as you get, but the other members of his administration who will be assisting at those meetings suggests the seriousness of the discussions. Again, do not expect white smoke out of that meeting. There'll be white smoke probably later somewhere else in the world this month, but do not expect that. But so that's the first thing, is just the level of, the direct dialogue, the discussion, the level of people there. The second point, I'll make it quickly, and thank you for restricting the question so others can get in, is that he respects, as others who are good negotiators, and he's one of the best negotiators, they respect strength. That's why we're building Canada strong. There's lots of reasons to build Canada strong, but the point is, and I will make this point repeatedly, we have more than enough to do here at home. That point about we can give ourselves more than the Americans can take away is absolutely right. We can have a bigger boost to our economy, to incomes, to jobs, by focusing on building one Canadian economy, by building these nation-building projects, by focusing on getting productivity up, by reducing government waste, by driving investment in this country. And so that is a good in and of itself. We're going to focus on that while we have these negotiations with the Americans. And if the negotiations with the Americans take longer, so be it. We've got more than enough to do here.
Kyle Duggan, the Canadian Press.
All right. So, again, right? You see that idea I'm getting? Like, we have a lot to do here. We don't have time to mess around. We don't have time. The same thing, So, making it clear here that regardless of what Trump says or does, those meetings need to be sovereign state to sovereign state, right? And that those arrangements are there. I have a good feeling, because I think somebody did just put this in the chat at some point, saying that I hope that there is a plan to get up and walk out of the room should Trump get out of hand. I have a feeling that there probably is in that instance, but I would probably have it that in all these discussions about Canada's sovereignty needing to be respected, that all the advanced teams that are preparing these meetings are also very clear on that type of stuff. And unless Trump decides to just freelance, right? Things might be more likely to go a little bit more according to the plan. One of the things that the Kits mentioned here in the chat, and I forgot to mention it too, also with regard to this, where Mark Carney is, it's the first conference being given at the newly renovated room in the National Press Gallery in Wellington, on Wellington Street in Ottawa. So yeah, it was nice to see the Prime Minister back at Wellington. The reason why people hadn't been at Wellington for a while is that there were renovations being done, and they are now complete. So that was the first one in that room since the renovations. So let's see what else he's got here. that thing also with regard to Mark Carney, when he's in there earlier in the press conference, says it will take we will give it the time that it needs, but no more. And in this one, again, he's saying, like this, it will take the time that it takes. So this I'm interpreting as Mark Carney making it subtly clear that even though the President of the United States might have it in his head that he wants to get a deal accomplished by the midterms so that he can have something to campaign on and go, see, look, my sanctions and whatnot, my tariff stuff and all that kind of stuff are working. Look, we got this great new deal. This Mark Carney is indicating there, we don't have midterms, so we're not on that same schedule. So if it happens to take a little longer, we're okay with that, which is kind of way of saying, Mr. Trump, if you want this deal finalized prior to the midterms because you need it for some other reason than just striking the best possible deal, you might not be able to stunt as much as you normally would, because we don't feel that we particularly need to be inclined to cooperate with that schedule. I love it. It's so, the petty in me loves it, but it's true. It's like the Prime Minister of Canada going, an emergency on your part does not constitute one on ours. So if you want it done fast, the ball's in your court to make that happen. Again, and so cool. I keep on thinking of that Eddie Murphy skit, like this, where like ladies going, yes, you're right. I did bring that upon myself. Why don't you just go to sleep? It's like, yeah, maybe not. I think I'll sleep at a hotel tonight. Thank you. So yeah, quiet confidence. I like it. Now, the next questions here that he handles have to do with the NDP, because, of course, there was a supply and confidence agreement in the past, and therefore 7, and now there's 7 NDP MPs. He only needs 3. Maybe, another supply and confidence agreement, that type of thing, that'll get you through. How you feeling about that? Well, let's see.
Carney, will you be pursuing a formal governing pact of any kind with the NDP?
No. Short answer, no.
And why not?
Why? That's my response. Is we campaigned on a very clear set of objectives, very clear policies to back those up, and we received the highest number of votes in Canadian history. Yes, it is not quite a majority, but highest number of votes. As I said moments ago, majorities in 7 of the 10 provinces, seats in all the provinces, highest vote totals and deputy counts in a number of those provinces. And it's also a style of governing as well, which is, in order to do what we need to do as a country, we will need to work in partnership with all the provinces, with Indigenous peoples. Yes, obviously, by definition in Parliament, we will need to get majority support to pass legislation. But this is legislation that Canadians, or at least we will be putting forth legislation that's consistent with our platform and consistent with the requirements of the time. And I will remind that it's not just words. We are in a crisis. If you look at, the terrible manifestation of that today in Oshawa for the GM workers, 2,000 GM workers, and I'll just express my deepest sympathy for them and their families. A very difficult time. We are committed to supporting workers. All the dollars from our tariffs going to support workers. Fighting hard for our auto sector, all our sectors in these negotiations with the Americans, and making sure that companies act in true partnership as well in maintaining employment and investment in Canada. And if not, there will be consequences for those companies. Thank you.
Louis Blouin, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney.
Hello, Mr. Carney.
Est-ce que dans votre vision des négociations
In your vision...
So, sorry, I'd let that go a little too far there. Sorry, kids and cubs. But again, you see in this answer, right? Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, be careful. Don't be too dismissive of the NDP. It's like, why? Like, and I can understand how some people could take it that way. But the question is, why? We just had an election. We ran on things and we were just given a mandate. Why would we want to move that down now? Now, of course, the other subtext is the NDP no longer has official party status and is going to have to work for some time to rebuild some funds. And given that they are not getting any funding to pursue certain activities by virtue of not having party status, that means that they have to raise even more funds to just be able to operate and be relevant. And they also have a leadership thing coming on. What's the need to enter into a formal coalition with a party that is not going to vote you down on a matter of confidence because it doesn't have a leader yet? Why? So it's not dismissive. It's not like, why with the NDP? It's like, just why? Why would you get a fresh mandate and then go automatically when you don't need to? Because you're not threatened at any moment. So, pretty simple answer, straightforward, again, not complicated. But then when he goes on and expands on the answer and talking about stuff, right, that it's not just words, right? We need a different governing style. Again, setting up the battle of tone versus countertone. Because if we look at the Conservatives, what it is that they're doing, again, I highly recommend you watch that other interview with Andrew Scheer. Maybe we'll bring it to you tomorrow because the show's already going long. But we showed you on Friday what he did at CTV. And he learned a couple of things from the bad experience and had some better answers for a couple questions at the start, or at least answers that showed that he learned something from the night before and needed a better one. But same thing, like this, when he got trapped into a question that he couldn't act anymore, then started fighting with the journalist and, all that type of stuff and going downhill, and the tone hasn't changed. The tone hasn't changed. They might be sending Chris D'Entremont and Scott Aitchison and Jamil Javani and Andrew Scheer onto CBC all the same week after boycotting it for years, not sending anybody. But if all they're going to be doing is the same shtick that they've been doing from before, when people want to change, it's hard to be the party of change when you get a do-over and don't change the manner in which you campaign or sell yourself. Just saying, something that one might want to consider. In this question here, I think it's, like I said, it's being asked primarily in French here. And I think that most of the answer here is translated. I'm not sure if he goes back into English after it. But again, I want you to note the quiet, again, just the sheer confidence that exudes with this answer. I really just don't know how to explain it. He knows what he's talking about, and that he is aware of how far his knowledge and his skills have brought them in life. And that, as he mentioned, he thinks that this is a good time for that knowledge and those skills to be put to the service of the nation. And he does have a career in public service. He was Deputy Minister of Finance, right? So a Deputy Minister or something. Let me check that one. But he worked in the Department of Finance for a long time before moving to the Bank of Canada, getting that big job and whatnot. So, again, all his work hasn't been in the private sector. All right. So let's bring you this aspect here again, simply the confidence. It's really impressive.
Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney.
Hello, Mr. Carney.
Est-ce que dans votre vision des négociations,
In your vision of the upcoming negotiations with Mr. Trump, do you think it's necessary that the U.S. tariffs be lifted before you begin to negotiate an economic and a comprehensive agreement with the U.S.? Well, we'll see.
I'm Darian, and I'm...
Whoops. Of course. There comes commercial. Hi, Darian. Nice to see you. All right. So just make sure that we get through this commercial here for you, and then we'll get back to the answer. Unfortunately, given that he had the chance only to say 2 words before, I don't have much to vamp and stretch on as I'm waiting for the commercial to go through with which to entertain you. Unfortunately. So I'm doing the thing that Mr. Grizzly does right now and has taught me to do in terms of filling in the time with words so as to not create the impression that there is dead air, but while not really saying anything of substance. And now I no longer have to do that because we have the Prime Minister again. And hopefully I did that smoothly while showing you how the sausage was made. Whoops. And again, of course, it would help if I turned on the volume here. So let's go back a little, and here we go.
Begin to negotiate an economic and a comprehensive agreement with the U.S. Well, we'll see. That is one option. In a sense, Mr. Blouin. But I do not want to negotiate in public. There will be difficult discussions. For example, the tariffs, in our view, the fentanyl-related tariffs, well, it's not clear why they are still in place from our standpoint. But it will be a complex negotiation.
The essence of my answer was I don't want to negotiate in public, so I'm not sure I need to add the other words that were around it. But look, it is complex. Particularly, there are examples where, certainly from our perspective, the fentanyl tariffs, were not merited to begin with, but are even less merited given all the steps that the government of Canada has taken and the progress that's been made. This will be a broader discussion, and it's one of the cards that they have, and therefore we'll see how it plays out.
In your opinion, what does President Trump want out of these negotiations? Well, that's one of the questions under discussion. He certainly has some goals. For example, some balance in terms of the trade balance, putting a stop to fentanyl and increasing military spending. And the U.S. goals do, in fact, change from time to time. There's a lot of volatility there. But for us, it's really about having a win-win or reaching a win-win agreement with the U.S. in a world that is becoming more divided and dangerous. So there are sectors, strategic sectors, for the U.S. and for Canada. And one of the questions is, do we want to cooperate in those sectors, including on critical minerals, or the auto sector, aluminum? There are several examples, including in the energy sector. Or do we want to divide the North American market? That's not clear at this point, and the second choice certainly is not a good choice. But if he decides that's what he wants to do, Canada has other options. That is very clear.
We'll have time for one more very fast question. Catherine Levesque from the National Post.
Okay, I'll try to make it 2 very fast.
Good. That's the spirit. That's the spirit, Catherine. That'll get me coming back.
Your party picked up seats across the country but lost a few seats in Ontario. Why do you think that is, and did those seats cost you your majority?
Well, I think arithmetically, yes, but we could pick other, other seats that went various ways. We'll reflect on that. I think as I said at the top, what I take as the Canadians voted for many reasons in different circumstances. First and foremost, what we've been talking about most of this time, standing up to the Americans, getting the best deal for Canada. That's there. Relatedly, a strong economy that works for everyone. But also, clearly, affordability issues. We had a big focus on affordability, security, and safety. That's what we take. That's what we take as. Maybe I should say personally, I take as the mandate that the focus of this government should be on those issues. As you know, to govern is to choose. You have to decide where you're going to focus. And I'm signaling, and of course there will be a speech from the throne and subsequent communications, but I'm signaling clearly where that focus is.
And can we expect your cabinet to be larger than your previous one? And will François-Philippe Champagne remain as finance minister?
Did he ask you to ask that question? Now we know your sources. Yeah. We will look. I committed to an efficient cabinet, a focused cabinet, cabinet with parity, gender parity, and we'll work towards it. Those final decisions haven't been made. So, Monsieur Champagne doit. He will have to wait. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much.
I think we have to respect the president of the. We have to respect the.
I am truly sorry, but the Prime Minister does have to go.
Yeah, bien sûr, of course. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. What do you want? No. Let's not get carried away. All right. Thank you.
All right. So, kids and cubs, wanted to present to you, of course, the end of the press conference. So, of course, in the previous answer, of course, the quiet confidence again, right? That the United States doesn't want to do this. We have other options. And again, not boastful, not bragging, just plain matter of fact. We have other options, and we will pursue them. That's it. So, he's gives me the impression of someone, like I said, just everybody out there is like flapping their wings and making a lot of noise and making a spectacle, and he's like unbothered. It's the impression I get. It's like you do what you will, and I will keep doing my thing. And then this last bit, the reason why I just continued on, because it just flowed naturally from the previous answer, and I didn't want to break the flow. Is again to show mood, right? Relationship with the press. Again, tone, countertone versus the previous one, right? Can joke. We have a man as prime minister, even though he's a central banker, and even though we have all these stereotypes of what a banker is, who's actually a real human being. On the night of his win, we all saw the images of him right in the crowd with his Down with Webster hoodie that they made just for him. And Down with Webster's giving the concert, and he's up there like this. He's got the W going for the song like this. He knows the words. He's up and down. He's rocking out. And he's dad rocking out, but he's rocking out. Right? And he's a fan. He knows the words. He knows the moves. He knows the gestures. So like he's not just putting on the show, right? He's not just like, oh, like the kids like Down with Webster, so hey, well, let's get Down with Webster. Like so he's actually a genuine fan. Like rocks out, likes live bands, can joke with people. And again, the journalists keep on pressing. Well, I think we need to respect the president of the press conference, the hall there, because as a public servant, he has respect for the work of public servants. And if you saw after the debate, there was a little clip going on about some guy having people coming and do their mic tests, and you saw Pierre Poilievre was raking notes like this, and asked for a mic test and never looked up. And then, basically did whatever his mic check was, and the other person came down. And all the other three leaders, including Mark Carney, had conversations with the person that came and did their mic check. How you treat the help. Remember, all of us that go on dates, right? One of the things, we keep on telling ourselves, if the date that you're with, treats the server at the restaurant or like crap, that's a red flag. Well, when the Prime Minister of the nation has time for a quick little conversation with the guy that's doing his mic check, and in a press conference to say, I think we need to respect the authority of the person that's leading the press conference. When's the last time you saw Pierre Poilievre do anything remotely like that? There's something about who this man is in his core that is decent. We could do a lot worse than having a banker who knows his crap on the economy, who can rock out to down with Webster, who has a child who's non-binary, who has a very, very, very successful in her own right spouse and is not threatened at all by her, and is actually nice to the people he works with, regardless of their position. We could do way worse. Just saying. So yeah, lots of news. King meeting with Trump, speech from the throne, cabinet coming, parliament resuming, all this kind of stuff. But still, amid all of that noise, things moving at events, that same stable, consistent, confident message. Right? It's going to be tough, but we can do it. We can give ourselves more than the United States can ever take it away. The relationship with the United States that we had is over. We need to move to new ways of doing things. I've seen this before. I can bring us there. And I trust you, and I know that we can do it. And I will be focused on that. Not games, not positioning, not self-aggrandizing, just that. There is nothing in this press conference that leads me to believe that whatever path that he's on, whatever mission, whatever he's stating to us with regard to that, and how he's going to proceed, is in any way insincere. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got in store, because he seems to be very clear on where he's going. And someone who's very clear on where he's going and does not hesitate to full-throatedly state where it is inspires confidence. On the other side, we have a party that, well, is not completely honest about all of their policies and all of their impacts, because they're policies that are not good for us. And if they were as honest and transparent about them as Mr. Carney was in this press conference about his own intentions and way forward, nobody would vote for them. It's hard to be confident when you know you're lying. The confidence then is an air. Right now with this man, we've just seen confidence that comes from a place deep inside. Not something that you grab and then try to put on as an outfit or a mask. It's a very different thing. And when you see that quality in a person, and you see them doing what they do best, they become magnetic. And maybe that's what happened here with Mr. Carney in the lead up. And if he continues governing in this particular way with this tone, the situation that we mentioned a little earlier on the show, that over the course of the next few months, his popularity might increase and the popularity of the party might increase, whereas the one from the Conservatives takes a little bit of a dip as Canadians gain confidence that, no, you know what? Actually, the guy that we have, he seems to have it. He seems to have it under control. Thank you. Again, if Mark Carney is like Justin Trudeau and plays the long game, and as a banker, you should be a strategist and be playing the long game because your whole life is forecasts way down. Yeah, there might be something there. And in that last question as well, just the candor, the refreshing candor. Did you think it was the seats in Ontario that cost you the majority? The normal typical response was, no, not really. Like, well, yeah. I mean, arithmetically, yeah. I mean, you could look at like 3 other seats in other regions also like this, but yeah. it's like, what? Yes, he said yes. Wow. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is a good start. And if this is the way that this is the tone that he is going to use for what's to come, I'm all in. I can't wait to see what's next, and I'm definitely anxious to see how the Conservatives are going to respond to someone that doesn't really seem to care what it is they do. If it's not something that's going to help Team Canada move forward. If it'll help move Canada forward, Team Canada forward, come sit at the table. If it's not, I've got no time for it. You can keep on doing it. I won't stop you. But I got no time for it. Those of us who want to get stuff done, will keep on getting stuff done over here. And you guys do what you do. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I believe Conservatives will do what Conservatives will do regardless of how much we try to accommodate them more. So I perfectly see, like I said, mentioned before, I perfectly see a scenario where, Polyev gets back to the House and there will be no mention or no recognition that the only reason he's in the House is because, well, one, he received the biggest political donation of all time, and it would be really nice if the Conservatives, since they love transparency so much, would be clear with the Canadian public what the terms of those deals were, just in case there's conflict of interest that could arise from it. It's possible. I doubt that will happen, though. Right. So, yeah. We're going to have contrasting parties here, and perhaps allowing the Conservatives to not take that time to breathe and reflect, but saying, hey, yeah, go ahead. Start your by-election run right away. Might be something that encourages the Conservatives to keep on doing what they have always been doing, thinking that if they do it just a little louder or harder, or maybe in all caps this time, maybe if they add 4 extra exclamation points or 2 extra clown emojis, that now it will work. Because they got so close. They just didn't try hard enough. If that's the lesson they take from it, it's not what I would advise. If we're talking change, it probably requires a change in tactics and an offer. And it really should require a change in leader. But hey, you're going your own way. The MGTOW way. We'll see. All right, kits and cubs. Wow, this was a long one today. I didn't think I had that much content, but I guess I did. Thank you for being so patient. Those of you who stayed with us in the chat from the beginning of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We enjoyed making this for you. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us. I've got so much content from last week that I couldn't put on the show that I could probably do a whole extra bonus show about. Hopefully there'll be some opportunities this week to work some of that content in. I know that today and tomorrow are probably going to be huge news days, given all the stuff that's going on with Trump. But hopefully Thursday and Friday, some stuff will calm down a little bit, and I'll be able to bring you a lot of the stuff that I had prepared from last week, and I wasn't able to get in because there's a lot of news happening. I mean, you got Doug Ford want to rewrite how we prosecute in Ontario, and you got Danielle Smith trying to generate separatism in Alberta while claiming she's not. And yeah, and we have the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador who has stepped aside, and there's a new Premier in Newfoundland and Labrador that we haven't had a chance to get there too. His name is John Hogan, by the way, who defeated John Abbott for that race. And again, with all the other races, I never even was aware that the liberal leadership race was on in Newfoundland and Labrador. All I knew was that the premier had decided he was going to step down, but I hadn't caught on to the fact that the race had been on, so I hadn't been able to tell you anything about it until now. Oh, by the way, here are the results, and we're a political show, and I missed it completely. So yeah, there's been a lot of news. I will readily admit. So hopefully this will come down because, like I said, there's lots of other stuff that happened, and we try to curate and bring the most important stuff to you, or the most stuff that will be talked about or interesting stuff. But you know, there's only so many hours in a day, and news happens 24/7. So at some point we got to pick some, right? But hopefully I'll be able to bring you a couple of extra things because there's some good contextual information here that will help you. Arm you with the information that you need to go forward over the next coming months, as things will be a little more tumultuous than they would have been had we elected ourselves a majority government, but still relatively stable by virtue of the fact that we have the NDP in a leadership race and the Conservatives without their leader in the House, and they kind of both have to focus on that right now. All right. There we go. Kits and Cubs, please tell everybody about us because it makes us happy and it helps spread the word. Now, if you would like to help us, for example, because you're on the go, actually, this would be more us helping you than you helping us on this one. But if you happen to be on the go and not able to actually watch us on our YouTube feed all the time, well, hey, conveniently, we're portable because we have an ears-only version podcast of our show that comes out as well. So if you happen to be very busy and you need to listen to us in the car or as you're going for your jog or as you're, making a lovely meal for your family, well, hey, no worries. We got you. Just scan that QR code, made available thanks to the Ray Girls' wonderful sponsorship of our show, and it will bring you to our pod page. That is podpage.com/thetruenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you go there and click on subscribe, hey, we come straight to you when there's something fresh off the podcast bandwidth. No fuss, no mess. Don't have to go looking for us. We like to help and we make it easy. Thank you to whoever scanned the QR code just now. We really appreciate that. Kids and Cubs, if you would like to help us in other ways, well then, maybe a little trip down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page would make your day. We have 3 buttons waiting for you, just waiting to greet you. Like, share, and subscribe. When you get there, give them a little click because it helps us with the algorithm. And we appreciate the help. But hey, it also makes sure that when we have something coming up on our YouTube page as well. Like 18,000 of you already have and subscribe. Hopefully we can get to 20,000. I'd like to say before the end of the year, maybe before Canada Day would be extremely hopeful, but the goal is 20,000. Let's see if we can get there, but 18 is already very good after our last promotional push during the election campaign. So many of you have joined us. We really appreciate it. And we know that you have, because you are already adding to our numbers in terms of our daily views. There's been a nice bump up, particularly since our election return show. So there's a lot of people who maybe discovered us that have decided to stay with us or decided to come back and look again. Thank you so very much for that. We're very grateful for you sticking around because the more views we get, the more it helps us financially as well. And it helps us improve the show and bring more features to you. So thank you for that. If you would like to help us in yet another way, Kids and Cubs, we do incur some costs in bringing the show to you. Subscription costs, internet fees, that type of stuff. And of course, some advertising. And if you would like to help us with that, not to mention our pubcasts, of course, if you would like to help us with that, we would be very, very, very appreciative to receive an enthusiastic expression of encouragement from you. Let's call it that way. Or that's a long way of saying a tip, because we shake it for tips. There you go. Shake, shake, shake. If you would like to help us out with a nice donation, if you would like to connect with your inner Damien Couric, you don't have to donate a seed, just a couple of dollars. To the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where you can do your bit to fight the scourge that is dry beaver. Yum, yum, yum. So, if you are an engaged Canadian and you would like to do your bit to keep your favorite beaver moist, well then, a couple of loonies, a couple of toonies in our tip jar will do the trick. Buy your favorite beaver a hot chocolate, or your favorite grizzly a cup of hot coffee, and say, "Attaboys," and that would help us a lot. Thank you very much. Everything you donate goes back into the show to help make it better for you. And we are grateful for your support. We would not have been able to come this far without you. If we had to self-finance everything over the past 4 seasons, we would have had to quit somewhere along the way. So it's because of you that we have lasted this long. And hopefully because of you, we will be here forever. Ha ha! We were just playing, being silly. Okay, kids and cubs. Again, coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. Leave a couple of dollars there. No donation is too small. We're grateful for everything that you do. Now, kids and cubs, if you are very, very, very into buying Canadian and would like to donate to us in a way that respects that, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Just send a direct bank transfer that way. Your bank, our email address, no American CE Tech Bros, nobody else taking a cut. We get 100% of your donation, and it's all Canadian. It's the best way to do it. Thank you so much. All right. If you would like to write to us, because we love to hear from you, because sometimes you're not able to donate. Times are tight, right? People are worried what's coming. You're keeping some powder dry. That's fine. The gifts of your attention, participation, sharing everything that we put out with your friends, putting a little note on top of it when you do, all of that means the world to us. And we do like to hear from you. So please write us. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly. If ugly, please, constructive criticism is easier for us to take. We're delicate creatures, so be kind. But constructive criticism, most definitely welcome. Suggestions for guests that you'd like to hear from. And of course, we are trying to put together, as we mentioned, a Q&A show for you. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is where you send your questions. If you got anything that you would like to know about politics, our takes on certain things, you would like us to talk about something, just ask us. And once we have enough of them, we will put a show together for you. Thank you so very much for all you're doing to help make that happen. Again, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is where you would send in your questions. All right, kids and cubs, because democracy is something that you do, please recall that there's a Quebec Liberal leadership race, and that the results of that will be coming in June. Hopefully we'll have more information for you about that coming soon. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else on the docket for the moment. Continue to rest a little bit. There's going to be a lot coming up. So some time to recharge the batteries is always a good thing. Words of wisdom. Don't think that Mr. Grizzly left us with any, because I think I'd cut him off somewhere when he was leaving. So words of wisdom for the day. Yesterday, we had some good time in our garden, planting some things, some seeds, and a couple of things that had started growing before. And, laying out the hay for the past and all that kind of stuff. And, it was hard work, and it was long work, and it was tedious work. And, and we didn't completely finish, but we got about like 3/4 of the way there. But when we had finished for the day, we looked out and it was sort of like, wow, it's like our garden is kind of pretty. We liked it. So, I guess my words of wisdom would be, is if there's a task, a big task that you have to do, that will take some time. Like this, and maybe not the most fun thing to do. The sense of accomplishment when you're done often makes it worthwhile. So, if you can't find the motivation to do it, maybe if you think of the payoff after having done it, and how good that will feel, that could serve to be your motivation. There you go. Those are my words of wisdom. Okay. Kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, kids and cubs, I would need you to say the magic words that allow the cock to crow. What's that? Mr. Beaver? Cue the cock? I heard you. Coming right up. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Kids and cubs. Since, we were going at it, I decided to come in with an Easter egg to make sure we clocked in over 3 hours, because why not, right? Kids and cubs, if you would like to get into a little good trouble today, somebody suggested, wrote to me yesterday on Twitter with using the hashtag pity party, not pity party, pity seat Pierre. So, if you would like that to trend, pity seat Pierre, charity case Pierre has also gone around, but that certainly would help a few things. Just saying. Just a little news for you before we go, because once again, kids and cubs, another weekend, another world champion. Thank you very much, kids and cubs. The World Senior Curling Championships were taking place over the past week, along with the World Mixed Doubles Curling Championships. Unfortunately, in the mixed doubles, the Canadian team lost in the quarterfinal and finished in 5th or 6th place. But that was enough to qualify Team Canada for the Olympics. So that's good there. And but the World Senior Curling Championships were happening at the same time, and our Canadian men's and women's senior teams both made it to the final. Both finals were against Scotland, so it was an all Canada versus Scotland affair, and the men's team took the gold, and the women's team won silver. So congratulations to those wonderful members of those teams, because again, just another weekend, another world championship. It's just the way it works here in Canada, right? Because we're very, very, very busy doing good things. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, Canada's under 18 men's hockey team also won gold, defeating Sweden, I believe it was 7-0 in the final, which is absolutely astounding. And then once again, another bit of success, but Kylie Mass, Canadian swimmer, who is, I believe, one of the most medaled Canadian swimmers in Canadian history over the course of 3 Olympics, just been quietly making her way, and she is a backstroke specialist. Well, it seems that she set a new record, I think it was, in the 50-meter backstroke at the Pro Series in Florida. So yes, I believe it is. Can't remember off the top of my head if it's a new world record or new Canadian record, but my guess is that, given all the noise here made about it, that it was a new world record. But yes, like even like Speedo, the company is like advertising it, going like new record, 27.13 seconds. She made it to the finish line. So again, Canadians making us proud. All right, that's all I got for you today, kids and cubs. Go on, take on the day, be fabulous, be fierce, sparkle. Have a beautiful day. And we'll see you tomorrow. All right? Bye, everyone.